Can you hear me now? Am I can hear you. Yay! Oh my gosh, I should have checked this. I should have checked this. I forget this happens every time I update my PC. For some reason, it disconnects my mic from OBS. Oh my god. Some version. Hi. Well, like I was trying to say. Welcome to the Holy Library. Hi. Thank you for checking in. I miss you all. I feel like it's been forever. I mean, that's only been like, I guess a little like two days of missing streams, having to cancel, but I'm so glad I get to hang out with you all today. Favorite book, mention my favorite book is today. Oh my god! Oh, is it really your favorite book? Wow! My first time ever reading it. I've been meaning to read this for ages, honestly. So I'm so stoked. Actually bought this book and have been wanting to read it. Really? Yay! Now you have an excuse to finally start it. I have four editions of it. Oh my god, really? That's so cool. Honestly, classics do have so many amazing editions that it's hard not to want to grab every edition that you see. I love to see what's the ones that you have though. Well, if you can hear me because of the ad. That's me with actually Alice in Wonderland. I have like two more editions, like three or two. Yeah, I have like 3 different editions of Alice in Wonderland, and of course my precious The Little Prince. That's the one that I have. That's the one that I try to collect a lot of editions, cause my collection. Also, yes, Lucius, there's no there's no bald. Okay, I'll let you have bald for a little while before we actually start reading. But then I have to turn it off when we're reading, cause I don't want you all distracted by my shiny head, okay? I know birds like shiny stuff. Then you won't be reading with me. So there, just for a little bit. So you all can you all can redeem it for a limited time only, okay? But yeah, actually, wait. Speaking of editions of Pride and Prejudice. While I was looking for art for my thumbnail, I found out there's a manga version of Pride and Prejudice. Look at that. Wait. I'll be listening while I work on things in case I'm more of a lurker today. Okay! Well, thank you so much for lurking then. Oh, wait! Oh, thank you so much for subscribing again, Lucius. I really appreciate it. OMG! There's a manga version, it's really cute. There's also a comic book version. Oh, a comic book? Ooh! I need to check that one out. This one I really like the cover. I'm guessing it's like from, I mean, it's from Seven Seas, so I'm guessing it's like the same like the Alice in Wonderland one you have, Perla. I think. I know they have like a lot of classics like this. I saw Jane Eyre. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's another classic I really want to read. But yeah. Imagine anime Pride and Prejudice. I will totally want to watch that. I'm surprised there's not any though. I mean, we're getting Anne of Green Gables soon this year, so they should take advantage of that and start making anime of every classic. I like this one. I'm so cold. Ugh. The library's really hot, really cold today. The weather keeps changing so much. I can't keep up. My body's too old for this. It's either too hot, too cold. There's no rest for my old aching body anymore. There's already an anime Romeo and Juliet and Gankotsu. Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah, I do remember having wanted to watch those for a long time. But there's so many more. They need to adapt. I'm surprised they haven't. Need more, exactly. We need a lot more. Especially if they make it gay. Well, there is an anime, an old anime that I really liked. I didn't finish watching it. It's based on a really old book that honestly I wanted to read it, but I couldn't even find it in English. It's called Romeo's Blue Skies, I think. It's about like a bunch of orphan kids, and honestly the relationship between the two main kids, I was like, oh, my little gay boys. even though I know that's not how it ends, I was spoiled about the end, so I refused to continue because of that. But they were so cute though. I wanted to believe. Hashtag hardcore. Yes, exactly. It's not Promise Neverland or Number 6. No, it's what was it called? Romeo's? I'm pretty sure it's called like Romeo's Blue Skies. Ooh. Speaking of the Promised Neverland, I need to read that manga because that second season, Jesus, oh my god, these two kids. Okay, wait. Why is this picture so pixelated? Okay, well, I guess this one looks better. Wait, it's on Prime Video? Can I watch it there? Maybe I'll go back to actually watching it. Oh, what? Why is that so big? It's this one. It's this one. These two kids. Oh, I love their relationship so much. I was a truther. I was a truther of their little baby gay relationship, but unfortunately that's not what happens. But I still want to believe. Never sad season 2, keeping it that way. Good. Oh, that second season, I want to pretend it doesn't exist. Ugh, I'm still so mad. Worst watched second season ever. I really do need to read the manga because I'm GQ, right? I love this type of art style in old anime. It's so cute. I really wanna watch this again. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for the hug too. It's like the last part of Higurashi's anime. Pretend it doesn't exist. Wait, that happens with Higurashi as well? Ugh, I also never continued Higurashi. I wanted to try to watch it. So now I know what to avoid for when I actually get to it. Hi! Hello! The goat is here! Yes! Ugh. My hands. They're all iced. Oh, thank you for the smoochies, Lucius. They're still available until the end of February. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll keep them. I'll see. Yeah. Oh. Actually, well, I was thinking, since the last book we read was Alice in Wonderland. I actually saw an Alice in Wonderland mug the other day. That it was so cute. I wanted to buy it, and I didn't buy it because I was out with a friend and I didn't want to carry it with me the rest of the day. So I was like, it's okay. I'll get it later. So I went back to buy it yesterday and it was gone. The regret. I wanted that mug so bad. No. Why did this happen to me? This is Wonderland yet. I'm so sad. I mean, there was like two versions of the mug. One was with Alice. It was like pink, and the other one was like purple with the Mad Hatter and the March hair. But I wanted the Alice one, and that one, they got it. They got it before me. I wasn't expecting for it to be gone in like a couple days. The Mad Hatter one is nice, but I didn't want it as much, so. Oh my god. My throat. So sad. Hopefully one day I can find it again. Yeah, in the end of Higurashi, there's a random episode where the MC is super creep for some reason. Oh wow, really? I hate when animes like they just butchered the next seasons. Like, why would you do that? Okay, hold on. I do need to kiss my throat. I wanted that mug specifically because I have tea. I have tea, Alice in Wonderland tea. Well, it's not really Alice in Wonderland tea. It's like tea, and the box has like Alice on it for some reason. for people like me who fall for publicity, I guess. For pretty boxes. So I wanted specifically that tea to put on that mug, but I don't have the mug, so I'll just drink my tea on my normal mugs, I guess. Real, it's a different level of pain, yes! Especially when you've been waiting so long for that season and they just end up being a complete disappointment. Like, why? Just, Yeah, it's super random compared to the rest of the series. I doubt that happened in the visual novel. Like, made dresses and stuff? Okay, I don't know like all the details about Higurashi, but that definitely sounds very, confusing. Someday I do need to play that game though. As one of those visual novels, besides Umineko, that I've been wanting to play for the longest time. Okay. Let me get my book out. Oh wait, completely forgot. Okay. Rules. The rules that I put on every stream. Before we start. It's very out of left field, lol. Also the end of his grimaces. Oh no. That really does an apple. Kinda curious to check out the English subtitle to see how bad it is. Okay, my pollitos, here's the rules that I set out for every reading stream. Oh my god, I completely forgot the PDF. Oh my wait. Reading the first room, like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. No! Oh well. Yeah, I was wondering. Wait, let me look for it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The thing about being like a classic is that it's a little bit easier to find stuff like this, but let me see. I completely it completely slipped my mind, I swear. Oh, okay, maybe he did. Let's see. Okay, yeah, found one. Right. Good. Does the music stay on? Yeah, I do try to keep the music on, so there won't be completely silent while I read. Well, this personally, I do I don't like having like complete silence while I'm reading, so okay. Here's the link. Let me just spin it. Where's the pin? Okay, there. Okay, there. Like I was saying. So much scoff already. Why is everything happening? Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, so there's a PDF. It says forbidden. What? No, why? Wait, that's weird. No. Okay, hold on. Maybe I need to download it. Okay, let me upload it to my Google Drive that I gave you all last time. Where is it? Read along's PDF. Okay, hopefully like this. No more issues, please. All right. Cualquier usuario que tenga el vínculo, yes. Okay. Compartir. Yes. Copiar. Yes. Okay. All right. Let me do this again. Okay. Hopefully, let me know if this one actually works then. All right. Okay. Like I said, scoff after scoff for some reason. The PDF is supposed to be linked in the chat. Now, hopefully working. Okay, it works now. Yippee, yay! Okay, good. Alerts right now are turned off, so it won't disturb reading time. And yes, you're all welcome to keep chatting while I'm reading. Just please try to keep it on topic. But if you wanna like say something about the book or stuff like that, so just make wait, my brain. Just remember, just keep in mind that I won't be able to read the chat until I try to finish the chapter, but I'll always make sure to read your whatever you'll say. Okay? Bomb. Yes, bombs. Please be responsible with the bombs. Don't disturb too much reading for your fellow Pojitos, okay? Oh, now that I watch Arcane, now I'm gonna relate the bombs to Jinx. So Y'all, be careful with the bombs, okay? um, oh yeah. The last room is about discussion, but that's gonna be until we actually finish the book. I feel like this one is gonna take more streams because it's a little bit longer. So yeah, probably it's gonna take more than a couple streams, but we'll see. We'll see how far we can go. Never seen Arcane, but I like to play League. Sadly, you never seen it? Oh my god, you need to. You need to. I finally watched it after so long of not kind of putting it off, and I finally understand the hype. It was so good. It was very, very good. Well, the first season. I haven't watched the second one yet. I watched it too. I think last month. Really? What do you think of it? Who's your fave? My fave is Jinx so far. I know, it's just so hard for me to get into new stuff. I get you. I also struggle, especially with watching stuff. I need someone to watch it with me to like pay attention. So I'm glad I was able to watch it with Perla, because it was so good. I have so many thoughts, and I ranted to my friend about it. But I really like season 1. Oh, I love to hear your thoughts later, if you want to share, of course. Like, games is kinda easy, but watching things is so hard. I also need a watch buddy, to be honest. Right? I'm glad I'm not the only one. I feel like, I don't know. Well, personally, it feels more like an ADHD thing. I get distracted so easily watching stuff by myself sometimes. So it's like when I have someone, kind of feels like a, like when we need like a body double for stuff. So I feel like that helps me engage better with what I'm watching and pay more attention. Same, see? Okay, I wasn't wrong. It definitely must be an ADHD thing then. But yeah, it's so frustrating sometimes because I'm like, I really want to watch stuff and I just can't because I need someone to watch it with me. I only saw Alien Stage because my friend had me watch it with them. Oh, speaking of which, I also rewatched Alien Stage recently. At least these are shorter, so is I feel like it's a little, well, at least personally, I feel like a little bit easier, but Alien Stage, the pain. To be honest, watching stuff with someone else is not only easier, but also it's nice to share your thoughts with someone as you go. Yes! That's exactly why I love watching. I love talking about it. I love like having reactions, like, because I'm always my sister hates watching stuff with me because I'm always like talking and reacting very loudly. So I always need someone who has like the same kind of I guess wait, how do you say it? Energy as me when watching stuff. So because I also love seeing the other my watching buddy and be able to like react together, discuss things, like, or share your thoughts and stuff, and that's why I personally really enjoy watching stuff together with people. When I watch stuff myself, I'm either dead silence or process or attack out loud. So you also attack out loud. I honestly cannot be silent at all. It's just impossible for me. I need to talk to myself while I'm watching stuff. I don't care. I'm such a critic. It's hard for me to watch things without someone to jab to. Yeah. We're jabbers. Jabbers are hard. We need to share. We need to share every single thought that comes across our mind while watching stuff. We need to be heard. If someone doesn't watch with me, I'll live Twitter. Oh my god, I used to live tweet so much back in the day. I kind of miss that. I kind of miss doing that. But then I started getting kind of lazy because, oh, at least back when I used to do it, I would like post screenshots and everything. But then that would get me too distracted, and I will get too lazy to actually finish what I was watching. So, but live tweeting is fun. Oh my god, I've seen people on BookTweet who do like threads when they're reading a book. So they basically tweet the reactions, and I'm like, wow, I kind of wish I could do that, but with the way I just switch between books and stuff, and sometimes I don't even finish them, I just can't. I'll be too ashamed to never finish the threads. Also, this book that I have, the font is too small. I don't know how I'm gonna read this. Oh god, okay. Grandpa needs new glasses. I'm not even wearing glasses right now because of my model. This font is way too small. Alright. Okay. We're gonna start in a bit. Just getting my bookmark ready. You can do it, people! Thank you. Thank you for the headband and your encouragement. My grandson Pollito. Thank you for believing in me. I'll do my best. I'll try not to get wait, how do you say it? I'll try not to get too stuck in words. Of course. Cause English, especially British English, is my enemy. All right. Grab your PDFs if you wanna read along, because we're about to start this classic romance of the ages. We're gonna finally meet Mr. Darcy, because I need to know why so many people love Mr. Darcy. I'll chew your food for you people. What? Why? I mean, if you want to. With my throat constantly coughing and stuff, I guess I do need someone to help me with my food intake. At first you love to hate him, and then you love him in general. Ah, I'm so excited. He seems to be the blueprint for so many characters, so I really need to know about him. Speaking of which, actually, oh my god, keep it distracted, but I actually used to have a book back in high school that's about Mr. Darcy being a vampire. I never actually read it though. But I do want to read it someday. But it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. I feel like a lot of characters definitely got inspired by Mr. Darcy, so me too. Thank you, Lucius. Very much appreciated. Alright. Are you feeding him like a mama bird? Isn't it supposed to be the opposite? I'm the peepaw here. Well, I guess what they say is true. When you turn old, you basically become like a baby again, because you need help. So yes, I'm being fed like a baby bird. Now. I promise, no more distractions. Okay, let's start. Chapter 1. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be one of a wife. However little known the feelings or views of such a man may be on his first entering a neighborhood, this truth is so well fixed in the minds of the surrounding families that he is considered as the rightful property of some one or other of their daughters. "My dear Mr. Bennet," said his lady to him one day, "have you heard that Netherfield Park is let at last?" Mr. Bennet replied that he had not. "But it is," returned she, "for Mrs. Long has been here, and she told me all about it." Mr. Bennet made no answer. Do not you want to know who has taken it?" cried his wife impatiently. "You want to tell me, and I have no objection to hearing it." This was invitation enough. "Why, my dear, you must know. Mrs. Long says that Netherfield is taken by a young man of large fortune from the north of England, that he came down on Monday in a chaise and four to see that place, and was so much delighted with it that he agreed with Mr. Morris immediately, that he is to take possession before Michaelmas, and some of his servants are to be in the house by the end of next week." "What is his name?" "Bingley." "Is he married or single?" "Oh, single, my dear, to be sure. A single man of large fortune, 4,000 or 5,000 a year. What a fine thing for our girls." "How so? How can he affect them?" "My dear Mr. Bennet," replied his wife, "how can you be so tiresome? You must know that I'm thinking of his marrying one of them." "Is that his design in settling here?" "Design? Nonsense! How can you talk so? But it is very likely that he may fall in love with one of them, and therefore you must visit him as soon as he comes." "I see no occasion for that. You and the girls may go, or you may send them by themselves, which perhaps will be still better, for, as you are as handsome as any of them, Mr. Bingley might like you the best of the party." "My dear, you flatter me. I certainly have had my share of beauty, but I do not pretend to be anything extraordinary now. When a woman has 5 grown-up daughters, she ought to give over thinking of her own beauty. In such cases, a woman has not often much beauty to think of. But, my dear, you must indeed go and see Mr. Bingley when he comes into the neighborhood. It is more than I engage for, I assure you. But consider your daughters. Only think that what an establishment it will be for one of them. Sir William and Lady Lucas are determined to go, merely on that account, for in general you know they visit no newcomers. Indeed, you must go, for it will be impossible for us to visit him, if you do not. You are over scrupulous, surely. I dare say Mr. Bingley will be very glad to see you, and I will send a few lines by you to assure him of my hearty consent to his marrying whichever he chooses of the girls, though I will throw in a good word for my little Lizzie. I desire you will do no such thing. Lizzie is not a bit better than the others, and I am sure she is not half so handsome as Jane, nor half so good-humored as Lydia, but you're always giving her the preference." "They have none of them much to recommend them," replied he. "They are all silly and ignorant like other girls, but Lizzie has something more of a quickness than her sisters." "Mr. Bennet, how can you abuse your own children in such a way? You take delight in vexing me. You have no compassion on my poor nerves." "You mistake me, my dear. I have a high respect for your nerves. They are my old friends. I have heard you mention them with consideration these 20 years at least. Ah, you do not know what I suffer. But I hope you will grow over it, and live to see many young men of 4,000 a year come into the neighborhood. It will be no use to us if 20 such should come, since you will not visit them. Depend upon it, my dear, that when there are 20 I will visit them all." Mr. Bennet was so odd a mixture of quick parts, sarcastic humor, reserve, and caprice, that the experience of 23 years had been insufficient to make his wife understand his character. Her mind was less difficult to develop. She was a woman of mean understanding, little information, and uncertain temper. When she was discontented, she fancied herself nervous. The business of her life was to get her daughters married. Its solace was visiting the news. Oh, wait, hold on. Is it okay if the music is a little bit quieter? Yeah, yeah, hold on. Let me see. Wait, where's the music? Okay. Okay, let me know if this is a little bit better. Okay. Hi, welcome! That's better. Okay, okay. The name? The name keeps throwing me off. Mr. Bingley. What kind of name is that? Why do British people have weird names? Alright. Now for chapter 2. Mr. Bing. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for that book. Welcome to the vlog. Alright. Actually, when they were talking, I thought they were gonna talk about Mr. Darcy. I was like, wait, who's this Mr. Bingus? Hopefully, I guess Mr. Darcy is gonna appear soon. Okay. Chapter 2. Mr. Bennet was among the earliest of those who waited on Mr. Bingley. He had always intended to visit him, though to the last always assuring his wife that he should not go. Until the evening after the visit was paid, she had no knowledge of it. It was then disclosed in the following manner. Observing his second daughter employed in trimming a hat, he suddenly addressed her with, "I thought Mr. Bingley would like it, Elsie." "We're not in a way to know what Mr. Bingley likes," said her mother resentfully, "since we're not to visit." "But you forget, Mamma," said Elizabeth, "that we shall meet him at the assemblies, and that Mrs. Long has promised to introduce him." "I do not believe Mrs. Long will do any such thing. She has 2 nieces of her own. She's selfish, hypocritical woman, and I have no opinion of her." "No more have I," said Mr. Bennet, "and I am glad to find that you do not depend on her serving you." Mrs. Bennet disdained not to make any reply, but unable to contain herself, began scolding one of her daughters. "Don't keep coughing so, Kitty, for heaven's sake. Have a little compassion on my nerves. You tear them to pieces." "Kitty has no discretion in her coughs," said her father. "She times them ill." "I do not cough for my own amusement," replied Kitty fretfully. "When is your next ball to be, Lizzie?" "Tomorrow fortnight." So it is," cried her mother, "and Mrs. Long does not come back till the day before, so it will be impossible for her to introduce him, for she will not know him herself." "Then, my dear, you may have the advantage of your friend, and introduce Mr. Bingley to her." "Impossible, Mr. Bennet, impossible, when I am not acquainted with him myself. How can you be so teasing?" "I honor your circumspection. A fortnight's acquaintance is certainly very little. One cannot know what a man really is by the end of a fortnight. But if we do not venture, somebody else will, and after all, Mrs. Long and her nieces must stand their chance, and therefore, as she will think it an act of kindness. If you decline the office, I will take it on myself." The girls stared at their father. Mrs. Bennet said only, "Nonsense, nonsense." "What can be the meaning of that emphatic exclamation?" cried he. "Do you understand the forms of introduction and the stress that is laid on them as nonsense? I cannot quite agree with you there. What say you, Mary? For you are a young lady of deep reflection, I know, and read great books, and make extracts." Mary wished to say something very sensible, but knew not how. "While Mary is adjusting her ideas," he continued, "let us return to Mr. Bingley." "I am sick of Mr. Bingley," cried his wife. "I am sorry to hear that, but why did not you tell me so before? If I had known as much this morning, I certainly would not have called on him. It is very unlucky, but as I have actually paid the visit, we cannot escape the acquaintance now." The astonishment of the ladies was just what he wished, that of Mrs. Bennet perhaps surpassing the rest. Though when the first tumult of joy was over, she began to declare that it was what she had expected all the while. "How good it was in you, my dear Mr. Bennet! But I knew I should persuade you at last. I was sure you love our girls too well to neglect such an acquaintance. Well, how pleased I am, and it is such a good joke too, that you should have gone this morning, and never said a word about it till now." "Now, Kitty, you may cough as much as you choose," said Mr. Bennet, and as he spoke he left the room, fatigued with the raptures of his wife. "What an excellent father you have, girls," said she, when the door was shut. "I do not know how you will ever make him amends for his kindness, or me either, for that matter. At our time of life, it is not so pleasant, I can tell you, to be making new acquaintance every day, but for your sakes, we will do anything. Lydia, my love, though you are the youngest, I dare say Mr. Bingley will dance with you at the next ball. Oh, said Lydia stoutly, I am not afraid, for though I am the youngest, I am the tallest. The rest of the evening was spent in conjecturing how soon he would return Mr. Bennet's visit, and determine when they should ask him to dinner. Oh my god, wait! Oh, thank you so much for the raid! Welcome! Oh, you're a professor! Thank you so much for the raid! Hold on. Let me give you a shout out. Okay. There. Sorry to interrupt your reading. No, don't worry. I was basically finishing already the chapter. These chapters are very, very short. But yes, thank you so much. What are you doing on your stream? Also, for those who don't know me, welcome to the Holy Library. I'm Cassiel Aurelius, your archangel librarian. I like talking about books, playing a lot of variety games like visual novels, horror, etc. And today we're reading Pride and Prejudice for the very first time. And I'm liking it so far. We're basically barely started, but I'm really liking the writing. It's not what I was expecting, honestly. I was looking for weird and funny patents, so weird inventions that people try to make. Oh, that's interesting. What did you find? Anything fun? It never occurred to me to look for something like that. Now I'm like, wait, what kind of inventions have people made that no one has ever heard about? Also, I keep wanting to laugh wherever I read the name Mr. Bingley. The craziest thing was a pen gun from the 1920s. A pen gun? Wait. That's kind of interesting, but at the same time, like, how does that work? Like, what would you use that for? A gun disguised as a pen. Ah, okay, that makes more sense. How you meant was like completely different, I guess. Okay, now I see the appeal. my imagination was completely opposite of what I actually was. I guess I see how that would work. If you have a gun disguised as a pen, then you can just kill people more efficiently. But also, how can you make a gun be like that small? I feel like that would be a really cool tool in like a spy book or something. But I don't know how that would work in real life. What was really funny was later in the stream, I found a patent for a gun that was actually a pen. Oh my god. So basically, I'm guessing there were two people doing with that pattern then. So two people had like the complete opposite idea. That's really funny. How writers kill their character off. Basically. Exactly. Wow. The human mind has so many wonders. Someone is like, oh, I should get a pen disguised as a gun for some reason to scare people. Another one is like, I should get a gun disguised as a pen to kill people, I guess. Or self-defense, who knows. I'm really curious what were they thinking for these inventions. Okay. Now, chapter 3. I'm actually surprised that chapters are really short. Oh. Okay. Chapter 3. Not all that Mrs. Bennet, however, with the assistance of her 5 daughters, could ask on the subject was sufficient to draw from her husband any satisfactory description of Mr. Bingley. They attacked him in various ways, with barefaced questions, ingenious suppositions, and distant surmises. But he eluded the skill of them all, and they were at last obliged to accept the second-hand intelligence of their neighbour, Lady Lucas. Her report was highly favourable. Sir William had been delighted with him. He was quite young, wonderfully handsome, extremely agreeable, and, to crown the whole, he meant to be at the next assembly with a large party. Nothing could be more delightful. To be fond of dancing was a certain step towards falling in love, and very lively hopes of Mr. Bingley's heart were entertained. "If I can but see one of my daughters happily settled at Netherfield," said Mrs. Bennet to her husband, "and all the others equally well married, I shall have nothing to wish for." In a few days Mr. Bingley returned Mr. Bennet's visit and sat about 10 minutes with him in his library. He had entertained hopes of being admitted to a sight of the young ladies, of whose beauty he had heard much, but he saw only the father. The ladies were somewhat more fortunate, for they had the advantage of ascertaining from an upper window that he wore a blue coat and rode a black horse. An invitation to dinner was soon afterwards dispatched, and already had Mrs. Bennet planned the courses that were to do credit to her housekeeping, when an answer arrived which deferred it all. Mr. Bingley was obliged to be in town the following day, and consequently unable to accept the honour of their invitation, and Mrs. Bennet was quite disconcerted. She could not imagine what business he could have in town so soon after his arrival in Hertfordshire, and she began to fear that he might be always flying about from one place to another, and never settle at Netherfield, as he ought to be. Lady Lucas quieted her fears a little by starting the idea of his being gone to London only to get a large party for the ball, and a report soon followed that Mr. Bingley was to bring 12 ladies and 7 gentlemen with him to the assembly. The girls grieved over such a large number of ladies, but were comforted the day before the ball by hearing that, instead of 12, he had brought only 6 with him from London, his 5 sisters and a cousin. And when the party entered the assembly room, it consisted of only 5 altogether: Mr. Bingley, his 2 sisters, the husband of the oldest, and another young man. Mr. Bingley was good-looking and gentlemanlike. He had a pleasant countenance, and easy, unaffected manners. His brother-in-law, Mr. Hurst, merely looked a gentleman, but his friend Miss Darcy soon drew the attention of the room by his fine, tall person, handsome features, noble mien, and the report which was in general circulation within 5 minutes after his entrance, of his having 10,000 a year. The gentlemen pronounced him to be a fine figure of a man. The ladies declared he was such much handsomer than Mr. Bingley, and he was looked at with great admiration for about half the evening, till his manners gave a disgust which turned the tide of his popularity, for he was discovered to be proud, to be above his company, and above being pleased, and not at all his large estate in Derbyshire could then save him from having a most forbidding, disagreeable countenance, and being unworthy to be compared with his friend. Mr. Bingley had soon made himself acquaintance with all the principal people in the room. He was lively and unreserved, danced every dance, was angry that the ball closed so early, and talked of giving on himself at Netherfield. Such amiable qualities must speak for themselves. What a contrast between him and his friend! Mr. Darcy danced only once with Mrs. Hurst and once with Miss Bingley, declined being introduced to any other lady, and spent the rest of the evening in walking about the room, speaking occasionally to one of his own party. His character was declined. He was the proudest, most disagreeable man in the world, and everybody hoped that he would never come there again. Amongst the most violent against him was Mrs. Bennet, whose dislike of his general behavior was sharpened into particular resentment by his having slighted one of her daughters. Elizabeth Bennet has been obliged by the scarcity of gentlemen, to sit down for 2 dances, and during part of that time, Mr. Darcy had been standing near enough for her to overhear a conversation between him and Mr. Bingley, who came from the dance for a few minutes to press his friend to join it. "Come, Darcy," said he, "I must have you dance. I hate to see you standing about by yourself in this stupid manner. You had much better dance." "I certainly shall not. You know how I detest it, unless I am particularly acquainted with my partner. At such an assembly as this, it will be insupportable. Your sisters are engaged, and there is not another woman in the room whom it will not be a punishment to me to stand up with." I will not be so fastidious as you are," cried Bingley. "For a kingdom, upon my honor, I never met with so many pleasant girls in my life as I have this evening, and there are several of them you see uncommonly pretty." "You are dancing with the only handsome girl in the room," said Mr. Darcy, looking at the eldest Miss Bennet. "Oh, she is the most beautiful creature I ever beheld. But there is one of her sisters sitting down just behind you, who is very pretty, and I dare say very agreeable. Do let me ask my partner to introduce you." "Which do you mean?" And turning around, he looked for a moment at Elizabeth, till catching her eye, he withdrew his own and coldly said, "She is tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me, and I am in no humor at present to give consequence to young ladies who are slighted by other men. You had better return to your partner and enjoy her smiles, for you are wasting your time with me." Mr. Bingley followed his advice. Mr. Darcy walked off, and Elizabeth remained with no very cordial feelings towards him. She told the story, however, with great spirit among her friends, for she had a lively, playful disposition, which delighted in anything ridiculous. The evening altogether passed off pleasantly to the whole family. Mrs. Bennet had seen her eldest daughter much admired by the Netherfield party. Mr. Bingley had danced with her twice, and she had been distinguished by his sisters. Jane was as much gratified by this as her mother could be, though in a quieter way. Elizabeth felt Jane's pleasure. Mary had heard herself mentioning to Miss Bingley as the most accomplished girl in the neighborhood, and Catherine and Lydia had been fortunate enough to be never without partners, which was all that they had yet learned to care for at a ball. They returned therefore in a good spirits to Longbourn, the village where they lived, and of which they were the principal inhabitants. They found Mr. Bennet still up, with a book. He was regardless of time, and on the present occasion had a good deal of curiosity as to the event of an evening which had raised such splendid expectations. He had rather hoped that all his wife's views on the stranger would be disappointed, but he soon found that he had a very different story to hear. "Oh, my dear Mr. Bennet," as she entered the room, "we have had a most delightful evening, a most excellent ball. I wish you had been there. Jane was so admired, nothing could be like it. Everybody said how well she looked, and Mr. Bingley thought her quite beautiful, and danced with her twice. Only think of that, my dear. He actually danced with her twice, and she was the only creature in the room that he asked a second time. First of all, he asked Miss Lucas. I was so vexed to see him stand up with her, but, however, he did not admire her at all. Indeed, nobody can, you know, and he seemed quite struck with Jane as she was going down the dance. So he inquired who she was, and got introduced, and asked her for the 2 next. Then the 2/3 he danced with Miss King, and the 2/4 with Maria Lucas, and the 2/5 with Jane again, and the 2/6 with Lizzie, and the Boulanger. If he had had any compassion for me," cried her husband impatiently, "he will not have danced half so much. For God's sake, say no more of his partners. Oh, that he had sprained his ankle in the first dance." "Oh, my dear," continued Mrs. Bennet, "I am quite delighted with him. He's so excessively handsome, and his sisters are charming women. I never in my life saw anything more elegant than their dresses. I dare say, the lace upon Mrs. Hart's gown—" Here she was interrupted again. Mr. Bennet protested against any description of finery. She was therefore obliged to seek another branch of the subject, and related, with much bitterness of spirit and some exaggeration, the shocking rudeness of Mr. Darcy. "But I can assure you," she added, "that Lizzie does not lose much by not suiting his fancy, for he is a most disagreeable, horrid man, not at all worth pleasing, so high and so conceited that there was no enduring him. He walked here, and he walked there, fancying himself so very great, not handsome enough to dance with. I wish you had been there, my dear, to have given him one of your set-downs. I quite detest that man." Whoa, Mr. Darcy. That really is a bad impression. I have to get dinner, but enjoy the rest of this stream. Happy reading. Okay. Thank you so much for the raid again, and I hope you have a really good dinner then. Bye bye. I just think it's kind of funny. The first impression by Mr. Darcy. Everyone just hate him. But okay, I can see why. He was being very he was being very rude. Like, why is he acting like that? Who hurt you, Mr. Darcy? I'm really curious how this relationship will develop, honestly. Because yeah, definitely definitely very bad first impression. But also, I don't know, I like the contrast between him and Mr. Bingley. Because, you know, it's like that trope of the really moody character with the being friends with the other characters who's like more sociable and everyone loves him. So I'm getting a bit more endeared by Mr. Bingley despite his name. Ooh, yeah. I feel like, okay, honestly, I was a bit concerned with cause sometimes with classics I struggle a little bit reading them because of the English, but honestly, this one I'm really liking this one. It's not as hard to read as I thought it would be, and I definitely can imagine like everything that's happening despite my Fantasia. I just find it it's really fun so far, the writing style. The short chapters make it better. Yes, definitely helps so much better for my attention span. Because when the chapters are so long, it can feel kind of endless, and my mind can wander off. But it's like little bite size. How do you say it? Bite size chapters. I feel like it's a lot easier to like concentrate. Also, I thought it was funny, the mom, how she was talking about everything. Like, whoa, she's a big chismosa, huh? She just wanted to share the chisme as soon as she got home. I get her. I also have a degree in chismosis. Wait, how do you say it? Chismology. I love me some chisme. I will totally be one of those ladies just gossiping. So I get her. Okay, let's see what happens now. I'm really curious to see more of Mr. Darcy and Lizzie. Chapter 4. When Jane and Elizabeth were alone, the former, who had been cautious in her praise of Mr. Bingley before... Sorry. Sorry, I need some water. My throat. Why? Okay, back to reading. Oh, thank you for the stretch. Okay, before I continue, let me do some little stretches. Awa, yes. Awa. I also need to make some tea later. I was drinking coffee, but as usual, it's already cold. Okay. Okay. Continue. When Jane and Elizabeth were alone, the former, who had been cautious in her praise of Mr. Bingley before, expressed to her sister how very much she admired him. "He's just what a young man ought to be," said she. "Sensible, good-humored, lively, and I never saw such happy manners, so much ease, with such perfect good breeding." "He is also handsome," replied Elizabeth, "which a young man ought likewise to be, if he possibly can. His character is thereby complete." "I was very much flattered by his asking me to that the second time. I did not expect such a compliment." "Did not you? I did for you. And that is one great difference between us. Compliments always take you by surprise, and me never. What could be more natural than his asking you again? He could not help seeing that you were about 5 times as pretty as every other woman in the room. No thanks to his gallantry for that. Well, he certainly is very agreeable, and I may give you leave to like him. You have like many a stupider person." "Dear Lizzie! Oh, you're a great deal too apt, you know, to like people in general. You never see a fault in anybody. All the world are good and agreeable in your eyes. I never heard you speak ill of a human being in my life." "I will wish not to be hasty in censoring anyone, but I always speak what I think." "I know you do, and it is that which makes the wonder. With your good sense, to be honestly blind to the follies and nonsense of others. Affection, I can't pronounce this. Affectation of candor is common enough. One meets it everywhere. But to be candid without ostentation or design, to take the good of everybody's character and make it still better, and say nothing of the bad, belongs to you alone. And so, you like this man's sister too, do you? Their manners are not equal to his." "Certainly not, at first, but they are very pleasant women when you converse with them. Miss Bingley is to live with her brother and keep his house, and I am much mistaken if we shall not find a very charming neighbor in her." Elizabeth listened in silence, but was not convinced. Their behavior at the assembly had not been calculated to please in general, and with more quickness of observation and less pliancy of temper than her sister, and with a judgment too, unassailed by any attention to herself, she was very little disposed to approve them. They were in fact very fine ladies, not deficient in good humor when they were pleased, nor in the power of being agreeable where they chose it, but proud and conceited. They were rather handsome, had been educated in one of the first private seminaries in town, had a fortune of £20,000, were in the habit of spending more than they ought, and of associating with people of rank, and were, therefore, in every respect entitled to think well of themselves, and meanly of others. They were a respectable family in the north of England, a circumstance more deeply impressed on their memories than their brother's fortune and their own had been acquired by trade. Mr. Bingley inherited property to the amount of nearly £100,000 from his father, who had intended to purchase an estate, but did not live to do it. Mr. Bingley intended it likewise, and sometimes made choice of his county, but as he was now provided with a good house and the liberty of a manor, it was doubtful to many of those who best knew the easiness of his temper, where he might not spend the remainder of his days at Netherfield, and leave the next generation to purchase. His sisters were very anxious for his having an estate of his own, but, though he was now established only as a tenant, Miss Bingley was by no means unwilling to preside at his table, nor was Mrs. Hust, who had married a man of more fashion than fortune, less disposed to consider his house as her home when it suited her. Mr. Bingley had not been of age 2 years, when he was tempted by an accidental recommendation to look at Netherfield House. He did look at it, and into it for half an hour, was pleased with the situation and the principal rooms, satisfied with what the owner said in its praise, and took it immediately. Between him and Darcy there was a very steady friendship, in spite of a great opposition of character. Bingley was endeared to Darcy by the easiness, openness, ductility of his temper. To no disposition could offer a great contrast to his own, and though with his own he never appeared dissatisfied. On the strength of Darcy's regard, Bingley had the firmest reliance, and of his judgment the highest opinion. In understanding, Darcy was the superior. Bingley was by no means deficient, but Darcy was clever. He was at the time haughty, reserved, and fastidious, and his manners, though well bred, were not inviting. In that respect, his friend had greatly the advantage. Bingley was sure of being liked whenever he appeared. Darcy was continually giving offence. The manner in which they spoke of the Merton Assembly was sufficiently characteristic. Billy had never met with pleasanter people or prettier girls in his life. Everybody had been most kind and attentive to him. There had been no formality, no stiffness. He had soon felt acquainted with all the room. And as to Miss Bennet, he could not conceive an angel more beautiful. Darcy, on the contrary, had seen a collection of people in whom there was little beauty and no fashion, for none of whom he had felt the smallest interest, and from none received either attention or pleasure. Miss Bennet he acknowledged to be pretty, but she smiled too much. Mrs. Hawes and her sister allowed it to be so, but still they admired her and liked her, and pronounced her to be a sweet girl, and one whom they should not object to know more of. Miss Bennet was therefore established as a sweet girl, and their brother felt authorized by such condemnation to think of her as he chose. Why is she's written differently? Kind of confuses me. Coffee sounds good, but it's 10 p.m. Mom. Aww. Well, if you're like me, I drink coffee every time of day. For some reason, the caffeine doesn't really affect me as much. I say as if I don't have sleeping problems because of drinking. Probably because of drinking coffee so late. But at least you could drink decaf, maybe. Oh my gosh! Oh my god! Thank you so much for the rating. Welcome, readers, to the Holy Library. Okay, hold on. Give a shout out. Good night. Okay. There. Welcome, readers, to the Holy Library. I am Cassiel Aurelius, your archangel librarian. I like talking about books, playing a variety of indie games, and today we're reading Pride and Prejudice for the very first time. I hope you had a good stream. Hello, Cassiel and Pollito. Hello, how was your stream? Okay, let me see. You were playing Legacy of Kain. Ooh, I never heard of that before. How is it? Hope you had a good time. Okay, I will drink anytime, but I don't know how to use my grandma's coffee machine. Oh, I see. Well, you don't have instant coffee? Cause sometimes I like, well, I mostly use coffee machine, but I also like to have instant coffee just in case. And of course, if you need to read and run, you're more than welcome to. Or if y'all want to join us and reading the classic Pride and Prejudice, then I hope you enjoy your stay. We're barely on chapter 5. Finally met Mr. Darcy. It was a good stream. It's a game I played when I was much younger. Oh, I need to check that out then. I'm very curious. But I'm glad you had a good time. Well, it's a classic coffee machine with grounds, but it makes a lot, and I'm not sure how to make just one cup for me. Plus, she cleans it every night, so I don't want to do it. Okay, I get you. Making coffee machines can be kind of confusing. I must run and run. My bed beckons me for sleep. Okay. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you have a really good sleep then. Rest well, Chapel. Bye bye. Have a good night, everyone. Enjoy the reading. Thank you. We are gonna be. Oh, thank you for the headpad. I'm waiting to be charmed by Mr. Darcy. So far. So far. I don't know what to think of him. it's really big. I miss having a single cup maker. Oh, I get you. That's why I prefer coffee machines that are like with the little capsules, because I feel like those are a lot easier to handle. Because I hate trying to calculate how much you need when you use the other one. It's so hot, cold in here. I'm freezing. Wait. Gonna become what's it called? Become a popsicle angel. I'm breathing. Angels are not meant to be in this weather. We're meant to be in warm spaces near the sun. Not like this. Thank you for that. I need a blankie. I need a blanket. Maybe I should grab a blanket. If I could afford a single, I will for myself a Miss Coffee. Aww. Well, if you can get at least like those little packets or like instant ones, at least this will be a lot easier to make. There's some that have like really good flavors too. I really like those. That pollito's falling around you for warmth. Oh, please. Give me all your warmth. With your fluffy feathers. I need it. I am freezing to death. Well, at least it's not as bad as before, but still. I just keep rubbing my hands because it's too much. I feel they're like feeling a little bit numb right now. Wait, for real? Perhaps I will look into it. My grandma's ground coffee is way too dark, so I have to put too much sugar. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they must have also in United States. But here in Mexico, we have little packets. And they usually also come with like cream or sugar, and it's just instant. You just pour the hot water and you have your coffee. So I'm pretty sure they must also sell them over there. It's from Nescafe. That's the brand. There must be. And they have in different flavors. They're yummy. I don't drink it as much because I usually prefer my own coffee to be without sugar. But they're good. We have some instant coffee. I just haven't bought any in a long time. Okay. Well, I hope you can get your coffee. We all deserve coffee. It's instead of the blood of Christ being wine for me, it's coffee. My addiction. Oh, okay. Let me go grab my blanket. Okay, I'll be right back. My model is gonna get stuck for a bit. Hold on. Okay. I'm moving. Alright. Got my little blankie. A little bit better. Hopefully. All this talk about coffee makes me want to get some. I shall buy some tomorrow. Yes! 20D, join us. Join the coffee club. Coffee. How do you like your coffee? Personally, well, at least the coffee that I make at home is just like normal coffee with milk, and that's it. But I like buying with like different flavors, little capsules with different flavors. I've been drinking a lot of peppermint ones, which are so good. I love them. I'll probably drink some in the morning now, to be honest. Yes. I like my coffee pretty light and very sugary, preferably with vanilla flavor. Vanilla, oh, vanilla's so good. I love vanilla coffee. Milk, sugar, and 1 drop of coffee. 1 drop of coffee. That is not a coffee. That is milk with coffee. I like mine sweet, but I'll also drink it bitter. Ooh. Same. I mean, when I make at home, I prefer like no sugar. But when I buy it on coffee places, I usually do try to get like with sugar. 1 drop of coffee is not true. Are you all fake coffee likers? What do you mean 1 drop of coffee? That's just milk at this point. Milk flavor coffee. Oh no, coffee flavor milk, I guess. It's okay. I won't judge. Judging. Oh my god, okay. With this blanket, I am feeling a little bit better now. More warm. Okay, now we can proceed. Chapter 5. Have sugar flavored coffee, actually, not too much milk. Ooh, sugar flavored coffee, that sounds good. I won't judge. Yes. Warren you'll drinking more coffee. Yes, I put like 6 spoons. What? Oh my god, that's a lot, actually. How do you drink so much sugar? You must be so sweet. Nah, I kinda wanna give it a try. See if I can take it like that. I'll be lurking, but I'm here. Thank you so much for lurking. Well, it depends on the spoon. Oh, okay. I guess a tiny spoon then. Or is it like a big spoon? If it's a bit bigger spoon, about 3. Oh, okay. That makes sense. You know what? I was thinking, I never seen sugar cubes. I want sugar cubes. I always saw sugar cubes in cartoons and stuff. We should all have sugar cubes to put in our coffee and our tea. That's what it should be. But like sugar packets, I put 5 or 6. Wow. You really love sugar coffee then. I've never seen a sugar cube. They must be real, right? That's how they show on cartoons and stuff. They gotta be real, right? I'm afraid I get the impulse to just put the sugar cube in my mouth. Honestly, same. That will be really tempting. Ooh, you're right. Need a sugar cubes for the aesthetic. Yes. We gotta be like those um people who have tea parties with their sugar cubes that they put in their tea. That's how it should be done. One day I want to have like an actual tea party. I'm so jealous of the people who actually have those with the pastries, like a Alice in Wonderland, the sugar cubes, and everything. Ah, imagine having a tea party right here. Alright, enough distractions, we need to continue. More Mr. Darcy time. Alright. Okay. Chapter 5. Within a short walk of Longbourn lived a family with whom the Bennets were particularly intimate. Sir William Lucas had been formerly in trade in Meryton, where he had made a tolerable fortune and risen to the honour of knighthood by an address to the king during his majority. The distinction had perhaps been felt too strongly. It had given him a disgust to his business and to his residence in a small market town, and quitting them both, he had removed with his family to a house about a mile from Meryton, denominated from that period Lucas Lodge, where he could think with pleasure of his own importance, and, unshackled by business, occupy himself solely in being civil to all the world. For though elated by his rank, it did not render him supercilious. On the contrary, he was all attention to everybody, by nature inoffensive, friendly and obliging. Obliging? His presentation at St. James had made him courteous. Lady Lucas was a very good kind of woman, not too clever to be a valuable neighbor to Mrs. Bennet. They had several children. The eldest of them, a sensible, intelligent young woman, about 27, was Elizabeth's intimate friend. That the Miss Lucases and the Miss Bennets should meet to talk over a ball was absolutely necessary, and the morning after the assembly brought the former to Longbourn to hear and to communicate. "You began the evening well, Charlotte," said Mrs. Bennet with civil self-command to Miss Lucas. "You were Mr. Bingley's first choice." "Yes, and he seemed to like his second better." "Oh, you mean Jane, I suppose, because he danced with her twice. To be sure, that did seem as if he admired her. Indeed, I rather believe he did. I heard something about it, but I hardly know what. Something about Mr. Robinson." "Perhaps you mean what I overheard between him and Mr. Robinson. Did not I mention it to you? Mr. Robinson's asking him how he liked our Meryton assemblies, and whether he did not think there were a great many pretty women in the room, and which he thought the prettiest. And he's answering immediately to the last question. Oh, the eldest Miss Bennet beyond a doubt. There cannot be two options on that point." "Upon my word. Well, that was very decided indeed. That does seem as if. But, however, it may all come to nothing, you know. My overhearings were more to the purpose than yours, Eliza," said Charlotte. "Mr. Darcy is not so well worth listening to as his friend, is he? Poor Eliza, to be only just tolerable. I beg you will not put it into Lisa's head to be vexed by his ill treatment, for he is such a disagreeable man that it will be quite a misfortune to be liked by him. Mrs. Long told me last night that he sat close to her for half an hour without once opening his lips." "Are you quite sure, ma'am? Is not there a little mistake?" said Jane. "I certainly saw Mr. Darcy speaking to her." "Eh, because she asked him out last how he liked Netherfield, and he could not help answering her, but she said he seemed very angry at being spoke to." "Miss Bingley told me," said Jane, "that he never speaks much unless among his intimate acquaintance. With them he is remarkably agreeable." "I do not believe a word of it, my dear. If he had been so very agreeable, he would have talked to Mrs. Long. But I can guess how it was. Everybody says that he is ate up with pride, and I dare say he had heard somehow that Mrs. Long does not keep a carriage, and had come to the ball in a hack chaise." "I do not mind his not talking to Mrs. Long," said Miss Lucas, "but I wish he had danced with Eliza." "Another time, Daisy," said her mother. "I could not dance with him, if I were you." "I believe, ma'am, I may safely promise you never to dance with him." "His pride," said Miss Lucas, does not offend me so much as pride often does, because there is an excuse for it. One cannot wonder that so very effeminate young man, with family, fortune, everything in his favor, should think highly of himself. If I may so express it, he has a right to be proud. That is very true, replied Elizabeth, and I could easily forgive his pride if he had not mortified mine. Pride, observed Mary, who picked herself upon the solidity of her reflections, is a very common feeling, I believe. By all that I have ever read, I am convinced that it is very common indeed. The human nature is particularly prone to it, and that there are very few of us who do not cherish a feeling of self-complacency on that score of some quality of other, real or imaginary. Vanity and pride are different things, though the words are often used synonymously. A person may be proud without being vain. Pride relates more to our opinion of ourselves, vanity to what we will have others think of us. If I were as rich as Mr. Darcy, cried young Lucas, who came with his sisters, I should not care how proud I was. I will keep a pack of foxhounds and drink a bottle of wine every day. Then you will drink a great deal more than you ought, said Mrs. Bennet. And if I were to see you at it, I should take away your bottle directly. The boy protested that he should not. She continued to declare that she would, and the argument ended only with a visit. Okay. Whoa, everyone really hates Mr. Darcy, don't they? Still so far, seems like there's no one who actually likes him. But honestly, I understand him. Not wanting to talk to people you're not really acquaintance to. Like in real life, I definitely struggle talking to people who I don't know, so I get you, Mr. Darcy. I'll try not to judge you too much at first. We'll see what's going on in your little head. But I want to see more of Lizzie and him interacting. When are they gonna talk more? Okay, let's see now. Chapter 6. The ladies of Longbourn soon waited on those of Netherfield. The visit was returned in due form. Miss Bennet's pleasing manners grew on the goodwill of Mrs. Hurst and Miss Bingley, and though the mother was found to be intolerable and the younger sisters not worth speaking to, a wish of being better acquainted with them was expressed towards the two eldest. By Jane this afternoon was received with the greatest pleasure, but Elizabeth still saw superciliousness in their treatment of everybody, hardly accepting even her sister, and could not like them, though their kindness to Jane, such as it was, had a value, as arising in all probability from the influence of their brother's admiration. It was generally evident whenever they met that he did admire her, and to her it was equally evident that Jane was yielding to the preference which she had begun to entertain for him from the first, and was in a way to be very much in love. But she considered with pleasure that it was not likely to be discovered by the world in general, since Jane united with great strength of feeling, a composure of temper, and a uniform cheerfulness of manner, which will guard her from the suspicions of the impertinent. She mentioned this to her friend Miss Lucas. "It may perhaps be pleasant," replied Charlotte, "to be able to impose on the public in such a case, but it is sometimes a disadvantage to be so very guarded. If a woman conceals her affection with the same skill from the object of it, she may lose the opportunity of fixing him, and it will then be but poor consolation to believe the world equally in the dark. There is so much of gratitude or vanity in almost every attachment that it is not safe to leave any to itself. We cannot begin freely. A slight preference is natural enough, but there are very few of us who have heart enough to be really in love without encouragement. In 9 cases out of 10, a woman had better shew more affection than she feels. Bingley likes your sister undoubtedly, but he may never do more than like her, if she does not help him on. But she does help him on, as much as her nature will allow. If I can perceive her regard for him, he must be a simpleton indeed, not to discover it too. Remember, Eliza, that he does not know Jane's disposition as you do. But if a woman is partial to a man and does not endeavor to conceal it, he must find it out. Perhaps he must, if he sees enough of her. But though Bingley and Jane meet tolerably often, it is never for many hours together, and as they always see each other in large mixed parties, it is impossible that every moment should be employed in conversing together. Jane should therefore make the most of every half hour in which she can command his attention. When she is secure of him, there will be leisure for falling in love as much as she chooses. Your plan is a good one, replied Elizabeth, where nothing is in question but the desire of being well married, and if I were determined to get a rich husband, or any husband, I dare say I should adopt it. But these are not Jane's feelings. She is not acting by design. As yet, she cannot even be certain of the degree of her own regard, nor of his reasonableness. She has known him only a fortnight. She danced 4 dances with him at Meryton. She saw him one morning at his own house, and has since dined in company with him 4 times. This is not quite enough to make her understand his character. Not as you represent it. As she merely dined with him, she might only have discovered whether he had a good appetite, but you must remember that 4 evenings have been also spent together, and 4 evenings may do a great deal. Yes, these 4 evenings have enabled them to ascertain that they both like binged on better than commerce, but with respect to any other leading characteristic, I do not imagine that much has been unfolded. Well, said Charlotte, I wish Jane success with all my heart, and if she were married to him tomorrow, I should think she had as good a chance of happiness as if she were to be studying his character for a 12-month. Happiness in marriage is entirely a matter of chance. If the dispositions of the parties are ever so well known to each other, or ever so similar beforehand, it does not advance their felicity in the least. They always contrive to grow sufficiently, unlike afterwards, to have their share of vexation, and it is better to know as little as possible of the defects of the person with whom you are to pass your life. You make me laugh, Charlotte, but it is not sound. You know it is not sound, and that you will never act in this way yourself. Occupied in observing Mr. Bingley's attention to her sister, Elizabeth was far from suspecting that she was herself becoming an object of some interest in the eyes of his friend. Mr. Darcy had at first scarcely allowed her to be pretty. He had looked at her without admiration at the ball, and when they next met, he looked at her only to criticize. But no sooner had he made it clear to himself and his friends that she had hardly a good feature in her face, then he began to find it was rendered uncommonly intelligent by the beautiful expression of her dark eyes. To his discovery succeeded some others equally mortifying. Though he had detected with a critical eye more than the one failure of perfect symmetry in her form, he was forced to acknowledge her figure to be light and pleasing, and in spite of his asserting that her manners were not those of that fashionable world, he was caught by their easy playfulness. Of this she was perfectly unaware. To her, he was only the man who made himself agreeable to nowhere, and who had not thought her handsome enough to dance with. He began to wish to know more of her, and as a step towards conversing with her himself, attended to her conversation with others. His doing so drew her notice. It was at Sir William's Lucas, where a large party were assembled. What does Mr. Darcy mean, said she to Charlotte, by listening to my conversation with Colonel Forster? That is a question which Mr. Darcy only can answer. But if he does it any more, I shall certainly let him know that I see that what he is about. He has a very satirical eye, and if I do not begin by being impertinent myself, I shall soon grow afraid of him. On his approaching them soon afterwards, though without seeming to have any intention of speaking, Miss Lucas defied her friend to mention such a subject to him, which immediately provoking Elizabeth to do it, she turned to him and said, Did not you think, Mr. Darcy, that I expressed myself uncommonly well just now, when I was teasing Colonel Forster to give us a ball at Meryton? With great energy, but it is a subject which always makes a lady energetic. You are severe on us. It will be her turn soon to be teased, said Miss Lucas. I am going to open the instrument. Eliza, and you know what follows. You're a very strange creature by way of a friend, always wanting me to play and sing before anybody and everybody. If my vanity had taken a musical turn, you will have been invaluable. But as it is, I would really rather not sit down before those who must be in the habit of hearing the very best performers. On Miss Lucas persevering, however, she added, "Very well, if I must be so, it must." And gravely glancing at Mr. Darcy, there is a final saying, which everybody here is of course familiar with. Keep your breath to cool your porridge, and I shall keep mine to swell my song. Her performance was pleasing, though by no means capital. After a song or two, and before she could reply to the entreaties of several that she would sing again, she was eagerly succeeded at that instrument by her sister Mary, who, having in consequence of being the only plain one in the family, worked hard for knowledge and accomplishments, was always impatient for display. Mary had neither genius nor taste, and though vanity had given her application, it had given her likewise a pedantic air and conceited manner, which would have injured a higher degree of excellence than she had reached. Elizabeth, easy and unaffected, had been listened to with much more pleasure, though not playing half so well, and Mary, at the end of a long concerto, was glad to purchase praise and gratitude by Scotch and Irish airs, at the request of her younger sisters, who, with some of the Lucases and two or three officers, joined eagerly in dancing at one end of the room. Mr. Darcy stood near them in silent indignation at such a mode of passing the evening, to the exclusion of all conversation, and was too much engrossed by his own thoughts to perceive that Sir William Lucas was his neighbour, till Sir William thus began. "What a charming amusement for young people this is, Mr. Darcy! There is nothing like dancing after all. I consider it as one of the first refinements of polished societies." "Certainly, sir, and it has the advantage also of being in vogue amongst the less polished societies of the world. Every savage can dance." Sir William only smiled. "Your friend performs delightfully," he continued after a pause, on seeing Bingley join the group, "and I doubt not that you are an adept in the science yourself, Mr. Darcy. You saw me dance at Meryton, I believe, sir?" "Yes, indeed, and received not inconsiderable pleasure from the sight. Do you often dance at St. James?" "Never, sir." "Do you not think it would be a proper compliment to the place?" "It is a compliment which I never pay to any place, if I can avoid it." "You have a house in town, I conclude?" Mr. Darcy bowed. "I had once some thoughts of fixing in town myself, for I am fond of superior society, but I did not feel quite certain that the air of London will agree with Lady Lucas." He paused in hopes of an answer, but his companion was not disposed to make any, and Elizabeth at that instant moving towards them, he was struck with the notion of doing a very gallant thing, and called out to her, "My dear Miss Eliza, why are you not dancing? Mr. Darcy, you must allow me to present this young lady to you as a very desirable partner. You cannot refuse to dance, I am sure, when so much beauty is before you." And taking her hand, he would have given it to Mr. Darcy, who, though extremely surprised, was not unwilling to receive it, which she instantly drew back, and said with some discomposure to Sir William, "Indeed, sir, I have not the least intention of dancing. I entreat you not to suppose that I moved this way in order to beg for a partner." Mr. Darcy, with great propriety, requested to be allowed the honour of her hand, but in vain. Elizabeth was determined, nor did Sir William at all shake her purpose by his attempt at persuasion. "You excel so much in the dance, Miss Eliza, that it is cruel to deny me the happiness of seeing you, and though this gentleman dislikes the amusement in general, he can have no objection, I am sure, to oblige us for 1/2 hour." "Mr. Darcy is all politeness," said Elizabeth, smiling. "He is indeed, but consider that inducement, my dear Miss Eliza." Eliza, we cannot wonder at this complaisance, for who will object to such honor?" Elizabeth looked archly and turned away. Her persistence had not injured her with the gentleman, and he was thinking of her with some complacency, when thus accosted by Miss Bingley. "I can guess the subject of your reverie." "I should imagine not." "You're considering how insupportable it will be to pass many evenings in this manner, in such a society, and indeed I am quite of your opinion. I was never more annoyed. The insipidity, and yet the noise, the nothingness, and yet the self-importance of all these people. What will I give to hear your strictures on them?" Your conjecture is totally wrong, I assure you. My mind was more agreeably engaged. I have been meditating on the very great pleasure which a pair of fine eyes in the face of a pretty woman can bestow. Miss Bingley immediately fixed her eyes on his face, and desired he would tell her what lady had the credit of inspiring such reflections. Mr. Darcy replied with great intrepidity. Miss Elizabeth Bennet. Miss Elizabeth Bennet, repeated Miss Bingley. I am all astonishment. How long has she been such a favourite? And pray when am I to wish you joy? That is exactly the question which I expect you to ask. A lady's imagination is very rapid. It jumps from admiration to love, from love to matrimony. In a moment I knew you would be wishing me joy. Nay, if you are so serious about it, I shall consider the matter as absolutely settled. You will have a charming mother-in-law, indeed, and of course she will be always at Pemberley with you. He listened to her with perfect indifference, but she chose to entertain herself in this matter, and as his composure convinced her that all was safe, her wit flowed along. Whoa. Okay. I keep getting confused if... Okay, so Eliza? That's the other way they call her, right? I don't know. How you pronounce it? Eliza or Elisa? Keeps confusing me. I didn't know it was another way to say Elizabeth. Honestly, it was like, wait, is this another character first? And I was like, okay, I guess that's how they call her. I thought we were calling her Lizzie. Oh, they have so many names! Well, so many nicknames, I guess. Okay. Also, Mr. Darcy was definitely very funny here. Like, first he's like not really interested, and now he's just eavesdropping on her conversations with other men. Like, okay, sir. Okay, now I'm starting to like him. And I also really like Elizabeth, the way she speaks her mind. And how she rejected him, basically. Okay, I see. I see why people like this kind of dynamic on this classic so much. Wait. Oh yeah, I was thinking about this while I was reading it, before I forget. Did y'all see those covers that were released of all of Jane Austen's books? Like kind of modern covers, kind of look kind of ugly. Yes, talking about, Oh god, I'm sorry, but those covers are kind of ugly. I don't like that. No, bro. I was like, why will they do this? Like, my $5 version of it looks better. Exactly. Like, who thought it was a good idea? I'm just, wow. It looks, the colors. I mean, I feel like if the covers for anything else, I wouldn't like be so judgy about it. But because it's for this specifically, I'm like, I don't think this really fits at all. I kinda like them. I'm attracted to bright colors. I need to see them again. Okay. Let me look for them. Where are they? Jane Austen new covers? That's probably how they appear, right? Oh god, I'm looking at them again. Okay, let's see. Here. I don't think the classics need modern covers. I don't really like modern romance covers as this. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. like, I don't think like it really fits the story. And also I agree with other people who were saying it kind of feels like deceptive because of the skin colors of the characters. Like, it's just not really. There they are. Wait, they're covering me. There they are. Wait, the skin colors. Oh, right. See, like, okay, if I was someone who doesn't know anything about these books, and I pick this up, I will assume some of these characters might be POC. Like, some of them definitely, like, kind of look like darker skin, more tanned. So it kind of feels very, I don't know, seems very deceptive in that way. From Prejudice with the lesbian plot is crazy. Wait, that's true. Wait. Why are you deceiving me? This is not my batch family couple. Why? Like, okay, if this were for anything else, like for an actual modern, like, romance book, I wouldn't object to it. I know a lot of people don't like the cartoony book covers. I personally like them because I like illustrations. I just don't like when the covers are kind of repetitive because they all go to like the same artist. But I do like illustrative book covers. But for this specifically, these classics, I don't feel like this is fit at all. The white hair makes it seem like fantasy. Wait, that's true. Literally. Like, who is this? Daenerys Targaryen? What's her name? The Game of Thrones one? Who are you? Who are you people? What are y'all doing here? I feel like they were trying to do the thing. You know those Shakespeare ones that came out that were so gorgeous? I feel like they were trying to do that, but it kind of failed. Because they went like a not completely different direction that didn't fit at all. I like illustrated book covers, but modernizing the classic feels kind of weird. I can explain. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't feel like it needs to be modernized. The appeal of the classics is they're classics. Unless it's like a modern retelling, that will be okay. But if it's not, like, why would I want to pick up a book like this when I know the characters don't look like this at all? It just caters too much to TikTok aesthetic. Yeah, literally. I feel like they just made this for book talk. I'm sorry. Those don't look good. Let me look for the ones that I'm talking about. Shakespeare new covers? Because I remember seeing those and I was like, oh my god, these are gorgeous. I want them. Okay, I can find like a version with all of them, but this one... Okay, let me... See, I feel like they were trying to do it like they did for the William Shakespeare ones. But this actually... It doesn't look modern. This actually looks like... I don't feel like this looks like as modern. I feel like this one actually do more justice to the books. This one actually looks really pretty. And fit better. The modern retelling from Jane Austen herself from heaven, yeah. Now this go hard, right? Oh, thank you for the advice, Celine. They kind of look like tarot cards in a good way. Yeah. I was thinking that. The colors are so pretty. Like, I actually want to buy. Because I actually really want them. The other ones, I'm like, what are they all doing here? Who thought of this? They like actually feel like the themes, not people just kind of standing around. Yeah, exactly. Like the other ones actually look well thought out. Like people actually know, actually making a representation of the book itself. These other ones for Jane Austen just feel like they just made whatever might seem like appealing to like the, like you said, the TikTok aesthetic, and just no. I don't like them. I saw all the discourse about it and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I agree. It does look really bad. Although the funny thing was finding out that apparently when Twilight came out, they kind of did the same for other classics like Wuthering Heights. Did you see that? Did you see the Wuthering Heights Twilight cover? Because I honestly had no idea that was even a thing. I can't believe I spent my whole life not knowing these covers existed. Wait, where are they? I guess just publishing just wanna do whatever they can to make people pick up these books, I guess. But to be honest, this ones actually look a little bit better. I actually enjoy this more because it's just a flower. Like, it actually doesn't look as bad compared to the other ones. If we start talking about book talk and publishing right now, we will be here forever. I have so many feelings. You're so right, honestly. so much to talk about that. Maybe that might need another stream. No, what in the world? I mean, at least it's just a flower. Right? Okay, like, I'm still like, huh, about this, but at least I feel like it's not as egregious as the other ones. At least it's just a little flower, I guess. I just think, Bella's and Edward's favorite book, that's the only part that I'm like, okay, I guess. Book rant stream, yes! Definitely need to do that sometime. The only times that I rant about books are during my wrap-up streams, but maybe I need a stream just dedicated to rant. Speaking of, I need to I was originally planning to have my wrap-up book wrap-up stream at the end of this month, but I think I'm gonna do it every 3 months, so that will work better for like my schedule, I guess, and that will give me more time to get more reading done. Because I've been quite busy this month, so I haven't been able to get done or reading as much as I would like to. So Gutty irks me when books don't match the content. Yes. Ugh, I get that so much. As someone who does judge a book by its cover, I am so sorry. I do. Cause I like illustration and graphic design, so I like I do judge the book covers. It also irks me. Guy who barely reads one book in 3 months. I feel that. It's okay. There's many ways to read. Whenever I will not be able to read, I will just read manga, honestly. at least right now I'm not really in a reading slump, but now it's like the opposite. I haven't been able to read much manga instead. But I'm still being slow in my reading. I read video games. Oh yeah, visual novels. That also counts, definitely. Because visual novels are novels. That's still reading. I can't even focus on manga anymore. Oh, I get you. I was binge reading so much manga last year at the end of December, and now I'm struggling. I have like a few graphic novels I borrowed from the library that I need to read because they're doing like a few days and there's a bunch of people waiting. So I'm like, I really need to lock in and read those during the weekend, or else I'm gonna have to wait forever again for them to be able to borrow them. I want to get back into manga and anime again. It's just hard with newer ones. Very hit or miss nowadays. I get you. Also struggle a lot finding new stuff. Oh, but well, I don't know exactly the kind of manga or anime that you like, but I personally really recommend Medalist if you haven't heard of it. I read the manga last year and I love it so much, and the anime is coming out right now. And honestly, they're doing a really good job with the anime, even though they kind of cut out some scenes, but it's really good. What genre is it? How do I describe it? I guess it's kind of like a sports. It's about a little girl who's into ice skating, and I love the relationship between her and her coach. It's so sweet, and it's just those type of like stories that really inspires you, because it shows you like characters who struggle a lot trying to achieve their dreams. And I don't know, it just especially because Inori, the main girl, I relate to her so much with her frustration, me wanting to get better and stuff, and her anxiousness, and I love her so much. I love all the characters in this manga. Oh, I see. It sounds wholesome. I like wholesome. Slice of life. Yes, it really is. It honestly makes me cry at times at how wholesome it is. Oh, I love that relationship between them. I think you will like it. I really think you will like it. Have you ever seen Erased? Yes, I love Erased. Oh my god. I watched the anime like 3 times. I read the manga. I watched the live action. It's one of my favorites. Actually, kinda, I'm due for another rewatch because I love it so much. Erased, yes. Oh, peak, absolute peak. OMG, thank God you like it. I hear so much slander. What, slander? Wait, who? People slander it? Okay, maybe I haven't been on the I haven't seen anything online in a while, because I remember when it came out, it was nothing but praise. What happened? Erase is so good. It doesn't deserve the slander. MG, one of my favorite videos was in that. Oh, really? There's a lot of discussion about the anime ending. Oh, because the anime ending is different from the manga. I guess I can understand. I can understand people don't like that. People try to make it out like the guy's spraying on the girl in their childhood. Some Twitter brain rot. What? Huh? What? Where did they even got that from? Huh? Maybe I was in my little gay bubble, because I always saw where people shipping the guy with the other kid. Not as a kid, but like them being together as grown-ups, of course. But that's wild. Some people have a little bit of brain rot. I wish I was kidding. Oh god, I can see that. I can see that. Unfortunately, I mean, I did see some people saying bad stuff about Medalist, like just completely out of left field, and I'm like, huh? Where would you even get this interpretation? But okay. I think it covers childhood drama the best of most animes. The anime changed my life. It really does. It's so. It's such a gut wrenching at times seeing this all the stuff that happens to those kids. Oh, it honestly feels like they really did like such an amazing job. I cried so much when the girl cried when she finally had a good meal. Oh, me too. Oh, my poor girl. Dude, that anime really makes me cry so much. Also about the Kim and his mom and After I watched that, I started thanking my parents for each meal. I get that. I really wanna watch it now. If y'all haven't watched the live action, I actually really recommend it. Not the movie. I think they made a movie, but the movie wasn't really well done. But the live action series, I think it's on Netflix. I think it was a very good adaptation as well. And the ending, they actually adapted the ending from the manga. It was kind of like a combination between the ending from the manga and the anime. I think it was really well done. OMG, when the opening changed on the last episode, so cool, yeah! I don't have Netflix now. Oh, I'm pretty sure you can find it online though. I'm pretty sure there's like sites where you can find it. Don't worry. I'm an angel who supports piracy. Gonna sleep now. Good night. I love you. Good night, Lucius. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you sleep well. I love you too. Bye bye. Erased. Just thinking about it. I kind of miss it. I really want to watch it. Sometime. I'm not a scold anymore. We're at least on my legs, but my hands are still kind of cold. Oh yeah, wait. Another anime that I'm actually watching right now that I'm really loving so far is what's the name? It's an anime about this dad, this old man dad, who he gets isekai'd into a game as a villainess. And it's honestly so funny and wholesome as well. I honestly, seriously, really recommend it. I need to catch up on the last episodes, but I'm really loving it so far. I feel like it's a very interesting twist into the villainous isekai genre. Is I love the dad so much. He's so cute and funny. I don't remember the name though, but it's really funny also to see like his, because he's also an otaku, and he also makes like a lot of references to old anime and stuff, and he's trying to use his knowledge of his anime of the anime that he knows to try to advance into the story, because obviously he's not as familiar with the new stuff, like the visual novel. He only knows about the visual novel because of his daughter. But it's so good so far. What was the name actually? Old man. Old man. Old man. Ah! Wait, how do you. Old man villainous anime. Wait, what's the name in English? Oh, Old Man Reincarnated as a Villainous. Yeah, that's the name. Another one. Another one of my Rex. Okay. Now, let's see. Let's see what Mr. Darcy has in store. Chapter 7. Mr. Bennet's property consisted almost entirely in an estate of 2,000 a year, which, unfortunately for his daughters, was entailed in default of heirs male on a distant relation, and their mother's fortune, though ample for her situation in life, could but ill supply the deficiency of his. Her father had been an attorney in Meryton, and had left her £4,000. She had a sister married to Mr. Phillips, who had been a clerk in their father, and succeeded him in the business, and a brother settled in London in a respectable line of trade. The village of Longbourn was only 1 mile from Meryton, a most convenient distance for the young ladies, who were usually tempted thither 3 or 4 times a week, to pay their duty to their aunt, and to a milliner's shop just over the way. The two youngest of the family, Catherine and Lydia, were particularly frequent in these attentions. Their minds were more vacant than their sisters', and when nothing better offered, a walk to Meryton was necessary to amuse their morning hours and furnish conversation for the evening. And however bare of news the country in general may be, they always contrived to learn some from their aunt. At present, indeed, they were well supplied both with news and happiness by the recent arrival of a militia regiment in the neighborhood. It was to remain the whole winter, and Meryton was the headquarters. Their visits to Mrs. Phillips were now productive of the most interesting intelligence. Every day added something to their knowledge of the officers' names and connections. Their lodgings were not long a secret, and at length they began to know the officers themselves. Mr. Phillips visited them all, and this opened to his nieces a source of felicity unknown before. They could talk of nothing but officers, and Mr. Bingley's large fortune, the mention of which gave animation to their mother, was worthless in their eyes when opposed to the regimentals of an ensign. After listening one morning to the effusions on the subject, Mr. Bennet coolly observed, "From all that I can collect by your manner of talking, you must be 2 of the silliest girls in the country. I have suspected it some time, but I am not convinced." Catherine was disconcerted, and made no answer, but Lydia, with perfect indifference, continued to express her admiration of Captain Carter, and her hope of seeing him in the course of the day, as he was going the next morning to London. "I am astonished, my dear," said Mrs. Bennet, "that you should be so ready to think your own children silly. If I wish to think slightly of anybody's children, it should not be my own, however. If my children are silly, I must hope to be always sensible of it. Yes, but as it happens, they are all of them very clever. This is the only point, I flatter myself, on which we do not agree. I hope that our sentiments coincide in every particular, but I must so far differ from you as to think our 2 youngest daughters uncommonly foolish. My dear Mr. Bennet, you must not expect such girls to have the sense of their father and mother. When they get to our age, I dare say they will not think about officers any more than we do. I remember the time when I liked a red coat by myself very well, and indeed so I do still at my heart, and if a smart young colonel, with 5 or 6,000 a year, should want one of my girls, I should not say nay to him. And I thought Colonel Foster looked very becoming the other night at Sir William's in his regimentals." "Mamma," cried Lydia, "my aunt says that Colonel Foster and Captain Carter do not go so often to Miss Watson's as they did when they first came. She sees them now very often standing in Clark's library." Mrs. Bennet was prevented replying by the entrance of the footman with a note for Miss Bennet. It came from Netherfield, and the servant waited for an answer. Miss Bennet's eyes sparkled with pleasure, and she was eagerly calling out while her daughter read. Well, Jane, who is it from? What is it about? What does he say? Well, Jane, make haste and tell us. Make haste, my love. It is from Miss Bingley, said Jane, and then read it aloud. My dear friend, if you are not so compassionate as to dine today with Louisa and me, we shall be in danger of hating each other for the rest of our lives. For a whole day tete between two women can never end without a quarrel. Come as soon as you can on the receipt of this. My brother and the gentlemen are to dine with the officers. Yours ever, Caroline Bingley. With the officers? Cried Lydia. I wonder my aunt did not tell us of that. Dining out, said Mrs. Bennet. That is very unlucky. Can I have the carriage? Said Jane. No, my dear, you had better go on horseback, because it seems likely to rain, and then you must stay all night. That would be a good scheme, said Elizabeth, if you were sure that they will not offer to send her home. Oh, but the gentlemen will have Mr. Bingley's chaise to go to Meryton, and the horse have no horses to theirs. I had much rather go in the coach. But, my dear, your father cannot spare the horses, I am sure. They are wanted in the farm. Mr. Bennet, are not they? They are wanted in the farm much oftener than I can get them. But if you have got them today, said Elizabeth, my mother's purpose will be answered. She did at last extort from her father an acknowledgment that the horses were engaged. Jane was therefore obliged to go on horseback, and her mother attended her to the door with many cheerful prognostics of a bad day. Her hopes were answered. Jane had not been gone long before it rained hard. Her sisters were uneasy for her, but her mother was delighted. The rain continued the whole evening without intermission. Jane certainly could not come back. This was a lucky idea of mine, indeed, said Mrs. Bennet, more than once, as if to credit of making it rain were all her own. Till the next morning, however, she was not aware of all the felicity of her contrivance. Breakfast was scarcely over when a servant from Netherfield brought the following offer for Elizabeth. My dearest Lizzie, I found myself very unwell this morning, which, I suppose, is to be imputed to my getting wet through yesterday. My kind friends will not hear of my returning home till I am better. They insist also on my seeing Mr. Jones. Therefore, do not be alarmed if you should hear of his having been to me. And excepting a sore throat, and headache, there is not much the matter with me. Yours, N.C. Well, my dear, said Mr. Bennet, when Elizabeth had read the note aloud, if your daughter should have a dangerous fit of illness, if she should die, if it will be a comfort to know that it was only in pursuit of Mr. Bingley, and under your orders. Oh, I am not at all afraid of her dying. People do not die of little trifling colds. She will be taken good care of, as long as she stays there. It is all very well. I will go and see her, if I could have the courage. Elizabeth, feeling really anxious, was determined to go to her, though the carriage was not to be had, and as she was no horsewoman, walking was her only alternative. She declared her resolution. How can you be so silly, cried her mother, as to think of such a thing? In all this dirt, you will not be fit to be seen when you get there. I shall be very free to see Jane, which is all I want. Is this a hint to me, Lizzie, said her father, to send her for the horses? No, indeed, I do not wish to avoid the walk. The distance is nothing. When one has a motive, only 3 miles. I shall be back by dinner. I admire the activity of your benevolence, observed Mary, but every impulse of feeling should be guided by reason, and, in my opinion, exertion should always be in proportion to what is required. We will go as far as Meryton with you, said Catherine and Lydia. Elizabeth accepted their company, and the 3 young ladies set off together. If we make haste, said Lydia, as they walked along, perhaps we may see something of Captain Carter before he goes. In Meryton they parted. The 2 youngest repaired to the lodgings of one of the officers' wives, and Elizabeth continued her walk alone, crossing field after field at a quick pace, jumping over stiles, and springing over puddles with impatient activity, and finding herself at last within view of the house, with weary ankles, dirty stockings, and a face glowing with the warmth of exercise. She was shown in the breakfast parlor, where all but Jane were assembled, and where her parents created a great deal of surprise. That she should have walked 3 miles so early in the day, in such dirty weather, and by herself, was almost incredible to Mrs. Hurst and Miss Bingley, and Elizabeth was convinced that they held her in contempt for it. She was received, however, very politely by them, and in their brother's manners there was something better than politeness. There was good humor and kindness. Mr. Darcy said very little, and Mr. Hurst nothing at all. The former was divided between admiration of the brilliancy which exercise had given to her complexion, and doubt as to the occasion justifying her coming so far alone. The latter was thinking only of his breakfast. Her inquiries after her sister were not very forwardly answered. Miss Bennet had slept ill, and though up, was very feverish and not well enough to leave her room. Elizabeth was glad to be taken to her immediately, and Jane, who had only been withheld by the fear of giving alarm or inconvenience from expressing in her note how much she longed for such a visit, was delighted at her entrance. She was not equal, however, to much conversation, and when Miss Bingley left them together, could attempt little beside expressions of gratitude for the extraordinary kindness she was treated with. Elizabeth silently attended her. When breakfast was over, they were joined by the sisters, and Elizabeth began to like them herself, when she saw how much affection and solicitude they showed for Jane. The apothecary came, and having examined his patient, said, as might be supposed, that she might caught a violent cold, and that they must endeavour to get the better of it, advised her to return to bed, and promised her some draughts. The advice was followed readily, for the feverish symptoms increased, and her head ached acutely. Elizabeth did not quit her room for a moment, nor were the other ladies often absent. The gentlemen being out, they had in fact nothing to do elsewhere. When the clock struck 3, Elizabeth felt that she must go, and very unwillingly said so. Miss Bingley offered her the carriage, and she only wanted a little present to accept it, when Jane testified such concern in parting with her that Miss Bingley was obliged to convert the offer of the chaise into an invitation to remain at Netherfield for the present. Elizabeth most thankfully consented, and a servant was dispatched to Longbourn to acquaint the family with her stay, and bring back a supply of clothes. Oh, thank you for the hydrosilines. Okay, I'm gonna need some. My throat. Also, what? That mom really didn't care about making her daughter sick just to get her husband? Like, seriously? What if she gets, I don't know, tuberculosis or something? Wasn't it easier back then to die from like diseases? Shouldn't she be concerned? I feel bad for the the daughter. But I guess now that's an excuse for Elizabeth to also be there with Mr. Darcy. Or like for them to interact more, I guess. Your model is so pretty. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I feel like we've done good progress. Even though I feel like I've been chatting more than I've been reading. But it's okay, cause I just really missed talking to you all. So, thank you for the head pat. But it's okay. We've done good progress. Chapter 8. We're so far in chapter 8. I'm pretty sure we can finish a few more chapters. It's easier to read with someone to talk during it. That's what I really I really enjoy reading streams because I feel like it's the only way that's been helping me actually read the classics that I have. This is something that I struggle a lot. It feels more fun that way. Even though there's still some words that I'm like, wait, what's on? What does this mean? Listening to you read as I draw. Oh. I'm glad. What are you drawing then? I want to know. Plus, it's nice to listen to while I work on the vision novel. I'm so excited for the vision novel. I can't wait. But I'm glad you'll enjoy my reading. Even though I struggle. I struggle with pronouncing words. Especially words that I've never seen before. I'm like, wait, how do you say this? I'm drawing Gojo. Hashtag real. Oh, Gojo partner. Nice. How are you drawing Gojo? What is he doing exactly? It's almost done. Actually, so excited. Can't wait to play it when it's done. You're doing great, thank you. So many words that I need to learn. But at least as long as y'all kind of understand what I mean when I'm reading and struggling. Paid off staying up till 6 a.m. What? No, don't sleep so late. You also need to rest. But I'm proud of you for your progress. He's wearing a very pretty, I don't know what it classifies as, a dress thing? Ooh, in a dress. I'll post it on Blue Sky once I'm done. Yeah. Oh, I keep forgetting to use Blue Sky. I need to start using Blue Sky more. I'm just very bad at juggling more than one social media, honestly. How come you decided to read this book? Are you a fan of Jane Austen? Oh, this is actually the first time I ever read a Jane Austen book. I chose it because it's a book that I've been wanting to read for a really long time. It's been on my TBR, and I thought it would be fitting for this month, since it's Valentine's season. It's a classical romance, so that's why. And also, I'm planning to read a retelling of this book later in the year, so that's why I thought it would be nice also to read the original first. Listen, when you see it, you will understand. Okay. TBH, same. I'm trying to use it more. Oh, I feel so bad I don't use it. I also feel like I'm bad with it because there's no algorithm. I honestly do prefer algorithms because that's how it helps me actually see stuff and for people to see my stuff. So on Blue Sky, I get confused on how to use it sometimes. And also, like I said, I just can't. I just struggle juggling more than one social media. I'm too Twitter brain. I refuse to call it X. It will never be X. Even though I miss how it used to be. I miss my little blue bird. I've been using Blue Sky a bit more because I feel like Twitter is suppressing my dev stuff, but it ain't leaving. We'll sink with the ship. We're gonna sink with Twitter. No one's gonna make us leave. Even though it keeps getting worse every time, but I'll never leave. I was here first. Real. I mostly use Twitter because that's where my moods are. Oh, I get to. Oh. Actually, I'm so sad because ever with some of the changes, a lot of my moods moved permanently to Blue Sky, and I just keep thinking about them. I'm like, oh, I miss seeing them on Twitter. Like, wanting to see them and interact with them is like the only thing that's making me wanna be more active on Blue Sky, but it's just so hard for me. So I feel bad because I miss them, but I'm like, why couldn't you just come back to Twitter, please, and be with me? I miss seeing you on my timeline. My moods are split 50-50 between Blue Sky and Twitter. Oh, I know, same. So sad. If only Ellen hadn't changed things. We will all be happy in a little bird app. Such a shame. Yeah, I guess I do need to. I guess I do need to try to get better at using Blue Sky though. It does suck not being able to see my mutuals that I miss. Alright. Now, Chapter 8. At 5 o'clock, the two ladies retired to dress, and at half past six, Elizabeth was summoned to dinner. To the civil inquiries which had been poured in, and among which she had the pleasure of distinguishing the much superior solicitude of Mr. Bingley's, she could not make a very favorable answer. Jane was by no means better. The sisters, on hearing this, repeated 3 or 4 times how much they were grieved, how shocking it was to have a bad cold, and how excessively they disliked being ill themselves, and then thought no more of the matter, and their indifference towards Jane, when not immediately before them, restored Elizabeth to the enjoyment of all her original dislike. Their brother, indeed, was the only one of the party whom she could regard with any complacency. His anxiety for Jane was evident, and his attentions to herself most pleasing, and they prevented her feeling herself so much an intruder as she believed she was considered by the others. She had very little notice from any but him. Miss Bingley was engrossed by Mr. Darcy, her sister scarcely less so, and as for Mr. Hust, by whom Elizabeth sat, he was an indolent man, who lived only to eat, drink, and play at cards, who, when he found her prefer a plain dish to a ragout, had nothing to say to her. When dinner was over, she returned directly to Jane, and Miss Bingley began abusing her as soon as she was out of the room. Her manners were pronounced to be very bad indeed, a mixture of pride and impertinence. She had no convention, no style, no taste, no beauty. Mrs. Hurst thought the same, and added, "She has nothing, in short, to recommend her, but being an excellent walker. I shall never forget her appearance this morning. She really looked almost wild." "She did indeed, Louisa. I could hardly keep my countenance. Very non-delicate to Commodore. Why must she be scampering about the country? Because her sister had a cold? Her hair so untidy, so blousy." "Yes, and her petticoat. I hope you saw her petticoat. 6 inches deep in mud. I am absolutely certain. And the gown which had been let down to hide it not doing it justice." "Your picture may be very exact, Louisa," said Bingley, "but this was all lost upon me. I thought Miss Elizabeth Bennet looked remarkably well when she came into the room this morning. Her dirty petticoat quite escaped my notice." "You observe it, Mr. Darcy, I am sure," said Miss Bingley, "and I am inclined to think that you will not wish to see your sister make such an exhibition." "Certainly not. To walk 3 miles, or 4 miles, or 5 miles, or wherever it is, above her ankles in dirt, and alone, quite alone, what could she mean by it? It seems to me to shew an abominable sort of conceited independence, and most country town indifference to decorum. It shows an affection for her sister that is very pleasing, said Bingley. I am afraid, Mrs. Darcy, observed Miss Bingley, in a half-whisper, that the adventure has rather affected your admiration of her fine eyes. Not at all, he replied. They were writing by the exercise. A short pause followed this speech, and Mrs. Hurst began again. I have an excessive regard for Jane Bennet. She's really a very sweet girl, and I wish with all my heart she were well settled. But with such a father and mother and such low connections, I am afraid there is no chance of it. I think I have heard you say that their uncle is an attorney in Meryton. Yes, and they have another, who lives somewhere near Chapside. That is capital, added her sister, and they both laughed heartily. If they had uncles enough to fill all Cheapside, cried Bingley, it would not make them one jot less agreeable. But it must be very materially lessen their chance of marrying men of any consideration in the world, replied Darcy. To this speech Bingley made no answer, but his sisters gave it their hearty assent, and indulged their mirth for some time at the expense of their dear friend's vulgar relations. With a renewal of tenderness, however, they repaired to her room on leaving the dining parlour, and sat with her till summoned to coffee. She was still very poorly, and Elizabeth would not quit her at all till late in the evening, when she had the comfort of seeing her asleep, and when it appeared to her rather right than pleasant that she should go downstairs herself. On entering the drawing room, she found the whole party at loo. At 100? What is it? I thought it was an L. Okay, at 100, and was immediately invited to join them. But suspecting them to be playing hide, she declined. She declined it, and making her sister the excuse, said she will amuse herself for the short time she could stay below with a book. Mr. Hurst looked at her with astonishment. Do you prefer reading to cards? Said he. That is rather singular. Miss Eliza Bennet, said Miss Bingley, despises cards. She is a great reader, and has no pleasure in anything else. I deserve neither such praise nor such censure, cried Elizabeth. I am not a great reader, and I have pleasure in many things. And in nursing your sister, I am sure you have pleasure, said Bingley, and I hope it will soon be increased by seeing her quite well. Elizabeth thanked him from her heart, and then walked towards the table where a few books were laying. He immediately offered to fetch her others, all that his library afforded. And I wish my collection were larger for your benefit and my own credit, but I am an idle fellow, and though I have not many, I have more than I ever look into. Elizabeth assured him that she could suit herself perfectly with those in the room. I am astonished, said Miss Bingley, that my father should have left so small a collection of books. With a delightful library you have at Pembury, Mr. Darcy. It ought to be good, he replied. It has been the work of many generations. And then you have added so much to it yourself. You're always buying books. I cannot comprehend the neglect of a family library in such days as these. Neglect? I am sure you neglect nothing that can add to the beauties of that noble place. Charles, when you build your house, I wish it may be half as delightful as Pemberley. I wish it may. But I would really advise you to make your purchase in that neighborhood, and take Pemberley for a kind of model. There is not a finer county in England than Derbyshire. With all my heart, I will buy Pemberley itself if Darcy will sell it. I am talking of possibilities, Charles. Upon my word, Caroline, I should think it more possible to get Pemberley by purchase than by imitation. Elizabeth was so much caught by what passed as to leave her very little attention to her book, and soon, laying it wholly aside, she drew near the card table and stationed herself between Mr. Bingley and his eldest sister to observe the game. Is Mrs. Darcy much grown since the spring? Said Miss Bingley. Will she be as tall as I am? Oh, Miss Darcy. Okay. I think she will. She's now about Miss Elizabeth Bennet's height, or rather taller. How I long to see her again. I never met with anybody who delighted me so much. Such a countenance, such manners, and so extremely accomplished for her age. Her performance on the pianoforte is exquisite. It is amazing to me, said Bingley, How young ladies can have patience to be so very accomplished as they all are. All young ladies accomplished, my dear Charles, what do you mean? Yes, all of them, I think. They'll paint tables, cover screens, knit purses. I scarcely know any who cannot do all this, and I am sure I never heard a young lady spoken of for the first time without being informed that she was very accomplished. Your list of the common extent of accomplishments, said Darcy, has too much truth. The word is applied to many a woman who deserves it no otherwise than by netting a purse or covering a screen. But I am very far from agreeing with you in your estimation of ladies in general. I cannot boast of knowing more than half a dozen, in the whole range of my acquaintance, that are really accomplished. Nor I am sure, said Miss Bingley. Then, observed Elizabeth, you must comprehend a great deal in your idea of an accomplished woman. Yes, I do comprehend a great deal in it. Oh, certainly, cried his faithful assistant. No one can be really esteemed accomplished who does not greatly surpass what is usually met with. A woman must have a thorough knowledge of music, singing, drawing, dancing, and the modern languages, to deserve the word, and besides all this, she must possess a certain something in her air and manner walking, the one of her voice, her address and expressions, or the word will be but half deserved. All this she must possess, added Darcy, and to all this she must yet add something more substantial, in the improvement of her mind by extensive reading. I am no longer surprised at your knowing only 6 accomplished women. I rather wonder now at your knowing any. Are you so severe upon your own sex as to doubt the possibility of all this? I never saw such a woman. I never saw such capacity, and taste and application, and elegance as you described, united. Miss Hurst and Miss Bingley both cried out against the injustice of her implied doubt, and were both protesting that they knew many women who answered this description. When Mr. Hurst called them to order, with bitter complaints of their inattention to what was going forward. As all conversation was thereby at an end, Elizabeth soon afterwards left the room. Eliza Bennet, said Miss Bingley, when the door was closed to her, is one of those young ladies who seek to recommend themselves to the other sex by undervaluing their own, and with many men, I dare say, it succeeds. But, in my opinion, it is a paltry device, a very mean art. Undoubtedly, replied Darcy, to whom this remark was chiefly addressed. There is meanness in all the arts which ladies sometimes condescend to employ for captivation. Whatever bears affinity to cunning is despicable. Miss Bingley was so entirely satisfied with this reply as to continue the subject. Elizabeth joined them again, only to say that her sister was worse, and that she could not leave her. Bingley urged Mr. Jones being sent for immediately, while his sisters, convinced that no country advice could be of any service, recommended an express to town for one of the most eminent physicians. This she would not hear of, but she was not so willingly to comply with her brother's proposal, and it was settled that Mr. Jones should be sent for early in the morning if Miss Bennet were not decidedly better. Bingley was quite uncomfortable. His sisters declared that they were miserable. They solaced their wretchedness, however, by duets after supper, while he could find no better relief to his feelings than by giving his housekeeper directions that every possible attention might be paid to the sick lady and her sister. Oh! Sorry, thank you so much for the raid! Welcome! Thank you, Ambrose! How was your stream? Hold on, let me give you a shout out. I was trying to finish a chapter. I was too engrossed in my reading. Wait, it didn't work? No! Is my shout out not working anymore? Okay, hold on. Shout out. Ambrose. It was good. Oh, good to hear. What were you doing? Okay, this one actually works. Yes, welcome, readers, to the Holy Library. I'm your archangel librarian, Cassiel Aurelius. I like talking about books, playing a variety of games, visual novels, horror, etc. And today we're reading Pride and Prejudice, the classic romance And we're in chapter 9 right now. So we're making good progress. Although also we're having fun chatting about a lot of different topics. Yes, I hope you all enjoy your stay here. If you wanna join us in reading, or if you wanna go rest up, you're more than welcome to. Why is my other shadow not working? I wanted to know where you were streaming. Okay, I'm gonna wish you need this chapter. Let me get some water because my throat. Awa, awa. Okay. I'm trying to think until which chapter we could finish for today. Because unfortunately I do have to wake up early tomorrow. But since the chapters are so short, I think maybe we can continue until chapter 15. We're already on 9. But yeah, oh my god, why are these women so mean? Why are they being so mean to Elizabeth? She didn't do anything. Very gossipy, mean ladies. This already feels like a telenovela to me. Pride and Prejudice telenovela. Orgullo y Prejuicio. Seriously. The way they're acting. This. Okay, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this telenovela, which is a classic, Mariela del Barrio. Because I was watching a few episodes a few months ago. Because one of my goals is watching like the classic telenovelas. So the way these women were talking about Elizabeth reminded me a lot of the women, the rich women in the telenovela, talking about the main character who is a poor she's poor, and she kind of, in a way, I guess she gets adopted by like a rich old man in that family. Well, not really adopted. It's more like he will he's not really adopted, more like he's helping her. So he welcomes her into his house because he wants to like sponsor her in a way. I guess that's more of a word, because it's not exactly like adoption. But yeah, it really makes me think of that. I can see why this is such a classic. Who knows? Maybe there's actually a telenovela based on this. I mean, there is a telenovela based off what's it called? The Count of Monte Cristo. So you never know. Maybe there is actually one based on this book. I need to look that up now. So cold still. More water. Need to keep my throat hydrated enough. Why is it getting colder? My bones, my elderly bones can't withstand this cold. Okay. Awa, awa, yes. Awa, awa. It's funny because my water is actually really cold right now. Real, my joints hurt when it gets cold. Oh, I hate it. Sometimes my legs also kind of hurt. At least during right now it doesn't hurt as much, but um sometimes when it's cold or when it's gonna rain, my legs start to hurt, and I'm like, wow, I feel old. Okay. Ow. Can do my being in a strong position is not good. I keep forgetting my posture. Okay. Okay, we'll continue in a bit. I'm just really cold. Okay, next time I actually need to put the heater on here for, so I won't feel like a popsicle still. All right, my pollitos. Posture. I say also forgetting to sit upright. I completely forgot I was gonna add the posture redeem. I need to do that next time. We all need to do that. Also, when you redeem it, it has to be also remind you for yourself. So when you make me hydrate, you need to remember to hydrate too. We're doing this together. And you make me stretch, you must also stretch. Aw, thank you for the stretch. Alright. Yes, all of us pollitos, let's stretch together. It's good for us. Alright. I needed a stretch too. Yay! Just pretend we're like those gym classes where everyone's stretching together like that. Stretch your wings. Raise your wings. Be careful not to pull a muscle because that's what usually happens to me. God, I really feel old whenever I pull a muscle because it hurts so much. I'm just standing there paralyzed. It actually happened a few days ago. I was trying to grab something, and I twisted like myself to try to get it, and I just felt my whole shoulder, the searing pain. I didn't want to move anymore. No, it's the worst. It hurt so much, and it's been happening so much to me in the past few years. I'm like, really getting elderly here. Abuelita Cassiel. If it's not my shoulders, sometimes it's like my legs. And I'm just there like, it hurts. Pulled a muscle in my foot once while stretching, and it was probably the most excruciating thing. It's so painful. Like, it's just, I don't understand how it feels so painful. It literally makes you feel like paralyzed and you don't want to move at all. Ugh. At least it's not. When I was younger, I used to get like random like pains like that, but I even if I didn't really pull anything, it would just be random. That I also really hated that. At least now I can, I guess, kind of avoid it. I just need to be careful, even though I forget. Okay. I stretch carefully. No pull muscles this time. Now we can continue with the reading. Let's see. I just I just started staring at the page without saying anything. Alright, okay. Actually gonna start now. I promise. Okay. Chapter 9. Elizabeth passed the chief of the night in her sister's room, and in the morning had the pleasure of being able to send a tolerable answer to the inquiries which she very early received from Mr. Bingley by a housemaid, and some time afterwards from the two elegant ladies who waited on his sisters. In spite of this amendment, however, she requested to have a note sent to Longbourn, desiring her mother to visit Jane, and from her own judgment of her situation. The note was immediately dispatched, and its contents as quickly complied with. Mrs. Bennet, accompanied by her two youngest girls, reached Netherfield soon after the family breakfast. Had she found Jane in any apparent danger, Miss Bennet would have been very miserable, but being satisfied on seeing her that her illness was not alarming, she had no wish of her recovering immediately, as her restoration to health would probably remove her from Netherfield. She would not listen, therefore, to her daughter's proposal of being carried home, neither did the apothecary, who arrived about the same time, think it at all advisable. After sitting a little while with Jane, on Miss Bingley's appearance and invitation, the mother and three daughters all attended her into the breakfast parlour. Bingley met them with hopes that Mrs. Bennet had not found Miss Bennet worse than she expected. "Indeed, I have, sir," was her answer. "She is a great deal too ill to be moved. Mr. Jones said we must not think of moving her. We must trespass a little longer on your kindness." "Removed!" cried Bingley. "It must not be thought of. My sister, I am sure, will not hear of her removal." "You may depend upon it, madam," said Mrs. Bingley, with cold civility, "that Miss Bennet shall receive every possible attention while she remains with us." Mrs. Bennet was profuse in her acknowledgments. "I am sure," she added, "if it was not for such good friends, I do not know what would become of her, for she is very ill indeed, and suffers a vast deal, though with the greatest patience in the world, which is always the way with her, for she has, without exception, the sweetest temper I ever met with. I often tell my other girls they are nothing to her. You have a sweet room here, Mr. Bingley, and a charming prospect over that gravel walk. I do not know a place in the country that is equal to Netherfield. You will not think of quitting it in a hurry, I hope, though you have but a short lease." "Whatever I do is done in a hurry," replied he, "and therefore if I should resolve to quit Netherfield, I should probably be off in 5 minutes. At present, however, I consider myself as quite fixed here." "That is exactly what I should have supposed of you," said Elizabeth. "You begin to comprehend me, do you?" cried he, turning towards her. "Oh yes, I understand you perfectly. I wish I might take this for a compliment, but to be so easily seen through, I am afraid it is pitiful. That is as it happens. It does not necessarily follow that a deep, intricate character is more or less estimable than such a one as yours." "Lizzie," cried her mother, "remember where you are, and do not run on in the wild manner that you are suffered to do at home." "I do not know before," continued Bingley immediately, "that you were a study of character. It must be an amusing study." "Yes, but intricate characters are the most amusing. They have at least that advantage." "The country," said Darcy, "can in general supply but few subjects for such a study. In a country neighbourhood, you move in a very confined and unvarying society. But people themselves alter so much that there is something new to be observed in them forever." "Yes, indeed," cried Mrs. Bennet, offended by his manner of mentioning a country neighbourhood. "I assure you there is quite as much of that going on in the country as in town." Everybody was surprised, and Darcy, after looking at her for a moment, turned silently away. Mrs. Bennet, who fancied she had gained a complete victory over him, continued her triumph. "I cannot see that London has any great advantage over the country, for my part, except the shops and public places. The country is a vast deal pleasanter, is it not, Mr. Bingley?" "When I am in the country," he replied, I never wish to leave it, and when I am in town, it is pretty much the same. They have each their advantages, and I can be equally happy in either. A. That is because you have the right disposition, but that gentleman, looking at Darcy, seemed to think the country was nothing at all. Indeed, Mamma, you are mistaken, said Elizabeth, blushing for her mother. You quite mistook Mr. Darcy. He only meant that there was not such a variety of people to be met with in the country as in town, which you must acknowledge to be true. Certainly, my dear, nobody said there were, but as to not meeting with many people in this neighborhood, I believe there are few neighborhoods larger. I know we dine with 24 families. Nothing but concern for Elizabeth could enable Bingley to keep his countenance. His sister was less delicate, and directed her eye towards Mr. Darcy with a very expressive smile. Elizabeth, for the sake of saying something that might turn her mother's thoughts, now asked her if Charlotte Lucas had been in Longbourn since her coming away. Yes, she called yesterday with her father. What an agreeable man Sir William is, Mr. Bingley. Is not he? So much that man of fashion, so genteel and so easy. He has always something to say to everybody. That is my idea of good breeding, and those persons who fancy themselves very important and never open their mouths quite mistake the matter. Did Charlotte dine with you? No, she will go home. I fancy she was whining about the mince pies. For my part, Mr. Bingley, I always keep servants that can do their own work. My daughters are brought up differently, but everybody is to judge for themselves, and the Lucases are very good sort of girls, I assure you. It is a pity they are not handsome. Not that I think Charlotte is so very plain, but then she is her particular friend. She seems a very pleasant young woman, said Bingley. Oh dear, yes, but you must own she is very plain. Lady Lucas herself has often said so, and envied me Jane's beauty. I do not like to boast of my own child, but to be sure, Jane, one does not often see anybody better looking. It is what everybody says. I do not trust my own partiality. When she was only 15, there was a gentleman at my brother's gardener's in town, so much in love with her that my sister-in-law was sure he would make her an offer before we came away. But however he did not. Perhaps he thought her too young. However, he wrote some verses on her, and very pretty they were. And so ended his affection, said Elizabeth impatiently. There has been many a one, I fancy, overcome in the same way. I wonder who first discovered the efficacy of poetry in driving away love. I have been used to consider poetry as the fruit of love, said Darcy. Of a fine, stout, healthy love it may. Everything nourishes what is strong already. But if it be only a slight thing sort of inclination, I am convinced that one good sonnet will starve it entirely away. Darcy only smiled, and the general pause which ensued made Elizabeth tremble lest her mother should be exposing herself again. She longed to speak, but could think of nothing to say, and after a short silence, Mrs. Bennet began repeating her thanks to Mr. Bingley for his kindness to Jane, and an apology for troubling him also with Lizzie. Mr. Bingley was unaffectedly civil in his answer, and forced his younger sister to be civil also, and said what the occasion required. She performed her part, indeed, without much graciousness, but Mrs. Bennet was satisfied, and soon afterwards ordered her carriage. Upon this signal, the youngest of her daughters put herself forward. The two girls had been whispering to each other during the whole visit, and the result of it was that the youngest should tax Mr. Bingley with having promised on his first coming into the country to give a ball at Netherfield. Lydia was a stout, well-grown girl of 15, with a fine complexion and good-humored countenance, a favorite with her mother, whose affection had brought her into public at an early age. She had high animal spirits, and a sort of natural self-consequence, which the attentions of the officers, to whom her uncle's good dinners and her own easy manners recommended her, had increased into assurance. She was very equal, therefore, to address Mr. Bingley on the subject of the ball, and abruptly reminding him of his promise, adding that it would be the most shameful thing in the world if he did not keep it. His answer to his sudden attack was delightful to their mother's ears. I am perfectly ready, I assure you, to keep my engagement, and when your sister is recovered, you shall, if you please, name the very day of the ball, but you will not wish to be dancing while she is ill. Lydia declared herself satisfied. Oh, yes, it will be much better to wait till Jane was well, and by the time most likely Captain Carter will be at Meryton again, and when you have given your ball, she added, I shall insist on their giving one also. I shall tell Colonel Forster it will be quite a shame if he does not. Miss Bennet and her daughters then departed, and Elizabeth returned instantly to Jane, leaving her own and her relations' behaviour to the remarks of the two ladies and Mr. Darcy, the latter of whom, however, could not be prevailed on to join in their censure of her, in spite of all Miss Bingley's witticisms on fine eyes. Wow, the mom is so mean though. Why? Still not wanting her daughter to come home just for the chance to be there with the Mr. Bingley. I feel so bad. At least we're seeing a little bit of progress. I do want to see more of Lizzie and Mr. Darcy talking though. But yeah, I actually do really like Mr. Bingley. He seems like a nice man. Even though they can get over his name. Every time I read his name, it just sounds funny to me. We love Mr. Bingus, yes. Mr. Bingus. I'm so sorry they gave you that name. Oh, okay, an ad. Who's during the bit? I'll just wait for the ad to finish. Oh wow, it's getting a lot later than I expected. Okay, maybe. Okay, I was thinking to read until chapter 15, but probably not. Because it's getting a lot later. So I think we'll just read a couple more chapters for today. So until 12. Why 12? Because 12 is the number of my birthday. So yes, it's a number I like. So we're in chapter 10 and then 2 more chapters, right? 10, 11. Well, I guess, 10, 11, 12. Should we read until 12 or should we left off on 12? Numbers confuse me. Oh, okay. Yeah. We're just gonna read until 12. Are y'all liking the book so far though? What do you think? What do you think of Mr. Bingus and Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth? Mr. Bingus, that's his name now. At least he seems very concerned about the sister. I like that they don't insta love. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very nice. I hate insta love, honestly. I prefer when we actually see the progress between the relationship, so I like that. I guess it's the more of a case of insta hate. They just hated each other as soon as they chat each other, and now that's gonna change slowly. And the MC is in like other girls' room, yeah. I feel bad they're so mean to her though. Cause she's like, I feel like she's not really doing anything bad, but they're like judging her really harshly. It is crazy seeing them be so mean, but it's refreshing a little. True. It seems like she doesn't really care, especially while reading Light Lark. Oh yeah, I remember Is it bad? I've heard of it, but I haven't really like read anything about it. Ooh. Yum, yum, yum. Yawning. It's a book. Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound good. I get that. Whenever I think about the books that I ended up hating, you can feel the passion of it, but life is easy mode. Oh, damn. Yeah, I get that. Right now, oh, actually, right now I'm reading the sequel of Legendborn, and I'm really loving it so far. I'm like, the book is so big, but I'm already like almost halfway through, and apparently the last book comes out in March, and I'm like, I want it. The author can describe things really well, but the plot makes me very puzzled. Oh. Yeah, when books are like that, it's like, it's a shame sometimes, either when it's like you can see the potential, but the execution, falls short. I'm reading Mistborn and Heavily Tyrant, but I haven't read in a few weeks. Oh, Heavily Tyrant! I was thinking also of reading, continuing, continuing with starring Heavily Tyrant. Because I usually kind of, how do you say it? I was gonna say postponed, but that's not the word I'm looking for. I guess when it's a sequel, I'm very bad reading series in general, because especially when it takes so long for the sequel to come out, because then I completely forget everything. And that was one of my fears with the sequel of Legendborn, because I honestly don't remember anything, like, except for like the basics. But luckily the book kind of like give you a little bit of refreshments of certain stuff, even though there's still stuff that I'm still like, I feel like this will hit harder if I remember everything about the plot. But at least I'm enjoying it. But yeah, that's also my other fear for reading Heavily Tyrant, that I won't remember anything, but hopefully that won't be an issue. I also have the Fae of Rail series omnibus, only one that I want to read, but the stickers I got make me bombastic side-eye. Not sure. Why? Wait, what about the stickers? What happened? To be honest, Heavenly Tyrant does have little refreshers throughout the writing. I also feel it's more character heavy and like, ooh, okay, good, please. More books need to do refreshers, because my little bird brain forgets everything after a few months. What if the stickers just says good girl and I'm just scared? Oh, I see, I understand now. I understand. God. Well, when you read it, I wanna know. I am. Interesting. I'll make note of that for a future trilogy. Yes. It's over 800 pages, and I did read a line where the MC gets betrayed by her parents, so I'm like, maybe it's good. Okay, that sounds so interesting, honestly. I do. I do find it intriguing. The first series is 5 books though by a self-published TikTok author, and I wanted to support her. Oh, okay. I'm gonna check that out. I think it's 5, maybe 3 of her gore. That's a lot of books, but that's really cool that you did that to support her. I do want to read more indie books as well. The sticker though. Good girl. Interesting. She has a midnight edition called hardcover, and I'm so mad. It's so pretty. No. Pretty books are my very big weakness. It's black and glossy. It must look so beautiful. That's why that's the best type. So expensive, yeah. I'm so jealous of the people who buy like really pretty editions of books all the time. I wish I could. Hey Becca, yes. Oh. I want the Light Lark limited edition, but what? Is it also expensive? I'm actually surprised. There's a lot of pretty editions of books now that you can get like at Target and Walmart. Cause before I feel like it was more something you had to buy in like online stores or on like book boxes, like subscription boxes. So I'm glad it's more like accessible now, but still like kind of expensive. It's very expensive now. Books are getting expensive now. Yes. Oh, literally, there's this book that I wanted to pre-order. It's coming out in May, and I was like, $30 for hardcover. That's way too much money. Even worse for me because of the money conversion with the money in my country. So that's way too expensive. Why? It's so sad. Books are getting more inaccessible. The lowest amount is around 32 for it, but the paperback was like 20. There's also 2 other books in the series. It sucks also. Even paperbacks are getting so expensive. Sometimes I even see Kindle books being super expensive, like almost the same as a paperback or a hardcover, and I'm like, what's even the point? What's even the point? Why? It sucks that publishers are making everything so expensive now. I could get the ebooks one, but I can't read ebooks. Aww. I get you. I like ebooks, but I feel like my mood for reading changes a lot. Sometimes I just can't read ebooks even if I want to. Because right now I'm more in my physical mood, so that's why I'm trying to go through my physical TBR. But yeah. The ADHD make me be on Twitter every 5 seconds. I get that. The Twitter addiction. I got ebooks through my Kindle, but with the changes, gotta stick to physical. No. Does it look different on Kindle or what? Holding a book feels so good too. Yes! It's so much better. The only downside is that if I want to go somewhere and take the book with me, and I know I cannot do that, even though I want to, which has been my struggle lately, because I'm like, I know my Kindle is more portable and easier, um, but I'm like, I wanna bring my physical book though. uh. Nothing beats the feel of a physical book and the smell of the pages. Exactly. The best feeling ever. And it makes me put my phone up. Yeah, true. Amazon is making changes. Basically, I won't own the books I buy anymore if they decide to ban something. Oh, I didn't know that. What? That is foul. I mean, I was already mad with Amazon because they will just change the cover suddenly. I'm like, this is not the cover that I pay for. But now they're gonna do that? What? Now that I'm making BNs, maybe reading books will be easier. That's good. It's good when you something kind of like helps you get out of the reading slump. Bro, I've heard of that. Oh, that's awful. Yeah. I guess I'm gonna have to also not not get as much Kindle deals anymore. Cause that's really bad of them. Wait, what? That's crazy, to be honest. Kindle's like, I think Kindle Unlimited is way too high anyway. Yeah. I miss when Kindle Unlimited gave me like a little sale, like a little promotion where you had to pay very little for like 3 months. But if I have to pay monthly, and I know I'm very rarely gonna be in the mood to read what I want to read there, so why just stop? But I think KU and Prime should be bundled. It should. I understand why. Why it has to be like different subscriptions. Just want to get more money out of us. Well, I guess that should be expected of Amazon in general. They're both too high. Plus Audible pay. Yeah, that's why I never use Audible. I never used it for that reason. It's like too much. Everything. I just use Libby for audiobooks. But it's also paying since of course it's a library, so sometimes I don't have the book that I want, or it takes a long time to get it if there's too many people who want it. Audible is too confusing to use for me. Oh. Same though. I tried using it a long time ago, but I didn't understand, so I was like, never mind. There used to be, well, it was like his Hispanic audiobook app that I used to use, and I also had to pay a subscription for that one, but it was so good. But then they started implementing some changes. They started getting rid of some books, and I didn't like that, so that's why I stopped. I stopped using it. I tried using Scribd, but since an author I follow recently got this stuff stolen there, I bought it now. Oh my god, I heard about that. I think I know who you were talking about. I honestly had no idea that was something that happened there. That's horrible that they did that. It sucks having so many limited options. Well, at least I guess isn't there like audiobooks in Spotify though? That's what I've heard. Well, they haven't rolled out that in my country, so I haven't tried it yet. But I think I've seen people use it on I think if you're from the United States, I'm pretty sure you have it. It's he still can't get the money back, unfortunately. It was thousands. Oh my god, that is so awful. Oh. Yeah, but I think you need premium. Oh yeah, premium. That's not fair though. They should do it like let it, at least if it was limited like for people, for anyone to use. Okay, it's getting a lot later than I expected, so I think instead, just one more chapter, and then we're gonna look for someone to raid. Cause I'm also getting a little bit tired. In EP. And my throat, I think, is already giving out again. But at least, oh, the next chapter is chapter 10, so at least we can say we finished 10 chapters, so good progress. Still. Thank you for the hydrate. Okay, let me get some agua before we continue. Any ideas for next stream? Actually, I was thinking I wanted to continue. What's the name of that game? Stuck in a Yandere visual novel. I think that's what it was called. Because I only played one route last year, and I've been wanting to continue it. And I think it's so fitting for Valentine's season. So I think I might play that one next. I want to try another route. And I'm still trying to think what else. Before Favor is over. I need to see the things that I wrote down for my plans, if I can find anything else to try. But yeah, that's the next one that I wanna continue. Hey, thank you for the head, Vaseline. Are you gonna do the other mid-side endings? Oh yeah, I also wanted to try that. Well, although apparently they're very short though. So if I'll see if I can try to finish them before starting the next game. So I'll see. I still need to check exactly how you're supposed to get them though. But supposedly these are very, very short, so we can probably finish them real fast. Ooh, I'm excited. Yay! I'm glad. Still, it's because honestly, there was another visual novel that I wanted to play, but I don't know if because of my health lately, it's a little bit harder for me to like read a lot aloud. I mean, I'm reading this, but I feel like with visual novels, it's like way more reading out loud. So as well, I don't know if I want to play like 2 visual novels like in a row. So I'm trying to think what else I could play on the next day. So I'll see. I'm gonna plan, but I'll let y'all know. I for sure will try to post a schedule on Monday or Tuesday. I got you, to be honest. I have the same issues. I mean, that's so fun to play, but yeah. Because there is another. I wanted to at least play one Yuri visual novel, and I have one that I've been wanting to play. It's called Seraphim Slum, about angel women that I've been looking forward to, but I'll see what I can do. Ooh, yes, sounds so good. I've seen good reviews about it, so. But yeah, it will depend. If angle women, yeah, angle women, angle women who let me fall to hell, because I think they're like fallen angels or something. Yes. But yeah, even if I don't play them this month, I'm still, of course, gonna play them later on. Well, oh, I also need to start making my plans for March because of my birthday. I still haven't come up with ideas. Birthday? Yes! My birthday is next month. Yay, yippee! I wanna plan something fun like last year. Cause I don't know, you remember last year I did my birthday week where I did like three streams, birthday themed streams. So I want to do something like that again, but I need to come up with ideas. Trying to think. Yeah, I remember. I really had so much fun. I think I'm definitely gonna do again the reading birthday messages. And maybe I might also do our stream, but let's see what else I can think of. I might go for tonight. Good night. Okay. Thank you so much for staying with us. I hope you have a really good night and rest well, okay? Good night. Okay. I will be playing League, not sleeping, sorry. No, you need to rest. Alright, but make sure to rest afterwards, okay? Be a good pollito and get some rest. Tap the thread. Alright, that helps you wind down, that's okay. Pat. It's okay. Just make sure to get at least enough rest. Afterwards, I guess. Okay. Let's read the last chapter before we go. Okay. Chapter 10. The day passed much as the day before had done. Mrs. Hurst and Mrs. Bingley had spent some hours of the morning with the invalid, who continued, though slowly, to mend, and in the evening Elizabeth joined their party in the drawing room. The lute table, hundred table, what? I keep getting confused about this. The 100 table, however, did not appear. Mr. Darcy was writing, and Miss Bingley, seated near him, was watching the progress of his letter, but repeatedly calling off his attention by messages to his sister. Mr. Hurst and Mr. Bingley were at piquet, and Mrs. Hurst was observing their game. Elizabeth took up some needlework, and was sufficiently amused in attending to what passed between Darcy and his companion. The perpetual commendations of the lady, either on his handwriting, or on the evenness of his lines, or on the length of his letter, with the perfect unconcern with which her praises were received, formed a curious dialogue, and was exactly in unison with her opinion of each. How delighted Miss Darcy will be to receive such a letter. He made no answer. You write uncommonly fast. You are mistaken. I read rather slowly. How many letters you must have occasion to write in the course of the year. Letters of business too. How odious I should think them. It is fortunate, then, that they fall to my lot instead of to yours. Pray tell your sister that I long to see her. I have already told her so once, by your desire. I am afraid you do not like your pen. Let me amend it for you. I meant pens remarkably well. Thank you, but I was meant my own. How can you contrive to write so even? He was silent. Tell your sister I am delighted to hear of her improvement on the harp, and pray let her know that I am quite in raptures with her beautiful little design for a table, and I think it definitely superior to Miss Grantley's. Would you give me leave to defer your raptures till I write again? At present, I have no room to do injustice. Oh, it is of no consequence. I shall see her in January. But do you always write such charming long letters to her, Mr. Darcy? They're generally long, but whether always charming, it is not for me to determine. It is a rule with me that a person who can write long letter with ease cannot write ill. That will not do for a compliment to to Darcy, Caroline, cried her brother, because he does not write with ease. He studies too much for words of 4 syllables. Do not you, Darcy? My style of writing is very different from yours. Oh, cried Miss Bingley, Charles writes in the most careless way imaginable. He leaves out half his words and blots the rest. My ideas flow so rapidly that I have not time to express them, by which means my letters sometimes convey no ideas at all to my correspondents. Your humility, Mr. Bingley, said Elizabeth, must disarm reproof. Nothing is more deceitful, said Darcy, than the appearance of humility. It is often only carelessness of opinion, and sometimes an indirect boast. And which of the two do you call my little recent piece of modesty? That insolent boast, for you are really proud of your defects in writing, because you consider them as proceeding from a rapidity of thought and carelessness of execution, which, if not estimable, you think at least highly interesting. The power of doing anything with quickness is always much prized by the possessor, and often without any attention to the imperfection of the performance. When you told Mrs. Bennet this morning that if you ever resolve on quitting Netherfield, you should be gone in 5 minutes, you meant it to be sort of panegyric, of compliment to yourself. And yet, what is there so very laudable in a precipitance, which must leave very necessary business undone, and can be of no real advantage to yourself or anyone else? Nay, cried Bingley, this is too much to remember. To remember all night all the foolish things that were said in the morning, and yet, upon my honor, I believe what is said of myself to be true, and I believe it at this moment. At least, therefore, I did not assume the character of needless precipitance, merely to shew off before the ladies. I dare say you believed it, but I am by no means convinced that you will be gone with such celerity. Your conduct will be quite as dependent on chance as that of any man I know, and if, as you were mounting your horse, a friend were to say, Bingley, you had better stay till next week, you will probably do it. You will probably not go, and, at another word, might stay a month. You have only proved by this, cried Elizabeth, that Mr. Bingley did not do justice to his own disposition. You have shown him off now more than he did himself. I am exceedingly gratified, said Bingley, by your converting what my friend says into a compliment on the sweetness of my temper, but I am afraid you're giving it a turn which that gentleman did by no means intend, for he will certainly think the better of me, if under such a circumstance I were to give a flat denial, and ride off as fast as I could. Will Mr. Darcy then consider the rashness of your original intention as a tone for by your obstinacy in adhering to it? Upon my word, I can exactly explain the matter. Darcy must speak for himself. You expect me to account for opinions which you choose to call mine, but which I have never acknowledged. Allowing the case, however, to stand according to your representation, you must remember, Miss Bennet, that the friend who is supposed to desire his return to the house, and the delay of his plan, has merely desired it, ask it without offering one argument in favor of its propriety. To yield readily, easily, to a persuasion of a friend is no merit with you. To yield without conviction is no compliment to the understanding of either. You appear to me, Mr. Darcy, to allow nothing for the influence of friendship and affection. A regard for the requester will often make one readily yield to a request without waiting for arguments to reason one unto it. I am not particularly speaking of such a case as you have supposed about Mr. Bingley, We may as well wait, perhaps, till the circumstance occurs before we discuss the discretion of his behavior thereupon. But in general and ordinary cases between friend and friend, where one of them is desired by the other to change a resolution of no very great moment, should you think ill of that person for complying with the desire, while waiting to be argued into it? Will it not be advisable, before we proceed into the subject, to arrange with rather more precision the degree of importance which is to appertain to this request, as well as the degree of intimacy subsisting between the parties? By all means, said Bringley, let us hear all the particulars, not forgetting their comparative height and size, for that will have more weight in the argument. Miss Bennet, than you may be aware of. I assure you that if Darcy were not such a great tall fellow, in comparison with myself, I should not pay him half so much difference. I declare I do not know a more affable object than our Darcy, on particular occasions, and in particular places, at his own house especially, and of a Sunday evening when he has nothing to do. Mr. Darcy smiled, but Elizabeth thought she could perceive that he was rather offended, and therefore checked her laugh. Miss Bingley warmly resented that indignity he had received, in expostulation with her brother for talking such nonsense. I see your design, Bingley, said his friend. You dislike an argument, and want to silence this. Perhaps I do. Arguments are too much like disputes. If you and Miss Bennet will defer yours till I am out of the room, I shall be very thankful, and then you may say whatever you like of me. What you ask, said Elizabeth, is no sacrifice on my side, and Mr. Darcy had much better finish his letter. Mr. Darcy took her advice and did finish his letter. When that business was over, he applied to Miss Bingley and Elizabeth for the indulgence of some music. Miss Bingley moved with alacrity to the pianoforte, and after a polite request that Elizabeth would lead the way, which the other as politely and more earnestly negativated, she seated herself. Mrs. Hurst sang with her sister, and while they were thus employed, Elizabeth could not help observing, as she turned over some music books that lay on the instrument, how frequently Mr. Darcy's eyes were fixed on her. She hardly knew how to suppose that she could be an object of admiration to so great a man, and yet that he should look at her because he disliked her was still more strange. She could only imagine, however, at last that she drew his notice because there was something about her more wrong and reprehensible, according to his ideas of right, than in any other person present. The supposition did not pain her. She liked him too little to care for his approbation. After playing some Italian songs, Miss Bingley varied the charm of a lively Scotch air, and soon afterwards, Mr. Darcy, drawing near Elizabeth, said to her, Do not you feel a great inclination, Miss Bennet, to see such an opportunity of dancing a reel? She smiled, but made no answer. He repeated the question, with some surprise at her silence. Oh, said she, I heard you before, but I could not immediately determine what to say in reply. You wanted me, I know, to say yes, that you might have the pleasure of despising my taste. But I always delight in overthrowing those kinds of schemes, and cheating a person of their premeditated contempt. I have therefore made up my mind to tell you that I do not want to dance a reel at all, and now despise me if you dare. Indeed, I do not dare. Elizabeth, having rather expected to affront him, was amazed at his gallantry, but there was a mixture of sweetness and archness in her manner, which made it difficult for her to affront anybody, and Darcy had never been so bewitched by any woman as he was by her. He really believed that, were it not for the inferiority of her connections, he should be in some danger. Miss Bingley saw, or suspected, enough to be jealous, and her great anxiety for the recovery of her dear friend Jane received some assistance from her desire of getting rid of Elizabeth. She often tried to provoke Darcy into disliking her guest by talking of their supposed marriage and planning his happiness in such an alliance. I hope, said she, as they were walking together in the shrubbery the next day, you will give your mother-in-law a few hints when this desirable event takes place. as to the advantage of holding her tongue, and if you can encompass it, do cure the younger girls of running after the officers. And if I may mention so delicate a subject, endeavor to check the little something bordering on conceit and impertinence, which your lady possesses. Have you anything else to propose from my domestic felicity? Oh, yes. Do let the portraits of your uncle and Annie Phillips be placed in the gallery at Pemberley, but put them next to your great uncle, the judge. They're in the same profession, you know, only in different lines. As for your Elizabeth's picture, you must not attempt to have it taken, for what painter could do justice to those beautiful eyes? It will not be easy, indeed, to catch their expression, but their color and shape, and the eyelashes, so remarkably fine, might be copied. At that moment, they were met from another walk by Mrs. Hurst and Elizabeth herself. I did not know that you intended to walk, said Miss Bingley, in some confusion, lest they had been overheard. You used us abominably ill, answered Mrs. Hurst, in running away without telling us that you were coming out. Then, taking that disengaged arm of Mr. Darcy, she left Elizabeth to walk by herself. The path just admitted a tree. Mr. Darcy felt their rudeness and immediately said, "This walk is not wide enough for a party. We had better go into the avenue." But Elizabeth, who had not the least inclination to remain with them, laughingly answered, "No, no, stay where you are. You're charmingly grouped, and appear to uncommon advantage. The picturesque will be spoiled by admitting a fourth. Goodbye." She then ran gaily off, rejoicing as she rambled about, in the hope of being at home again in a day or two. Jane was already so much recovered as to intend leaving her room for a couple of hours that evening. Alright. We finished chapter 10. So, we managed to read 10 chapters today. So yeah, good. And my throat is giving out. I think because the weather is making it harder, because it makes my throat feel more dry. Yippee! Oh, thank you for the trade. Oh, thank you also for the stretch. Okay, hold on. Also, I don't know if you'll notice, but my model kept freezing because my phone is running out of battery. Awa. Very cold awa. Room temperature, apparently. It's very cold. Alright. Before we go, let me look for someone to raid. Let's see. Who's online right now? Let's see who's online. Following. Oh. Let's see. No. Okay. Okay. I guess it's too late because I don't see a lot of my mutuals online. Ooh. Oh wait, I see. Okay, I think I found someone. Let me just check. Oh, okay. I think I found someone who's also reading something. So I think I know. We can right now. Thank you for the stream and for reading to it. Oh, you're welcome. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm really liking this book so far. And I really miss being able to hang out with y'all. So I'm really happy. I had a really good time. for reading. Aww. Alright, let me just give you all the read message. One. Why is my throat so dry? I'm really not made for this weather. Alright. I hope y'all all also liking the book so far. Okay, so we're gonna be reading this for a while. It's the cold, yeah. I hate it. Oh, thank you for the hug. Alright. Now, my pollitos, get ready. Get your read message ready. We're about to read someone who's also reading like me. A fellow reader. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for keeping me company once again. I really miss hanging out with you all, and I'm really happy that we got to read together. And hopefully next week we can go back to regular schedule, depending on my health and the weather. But hopefully, because I don't like missing out on hanging out with you all. So I hope you all have a really good night, and to see you next time when the library opens. Bye bye, Nana.